They say questionable things.
That's a language that you will not understand for a couple of sessions. Hello! Happy Easter, everyone!
Happy Easter!
Why do you say after Easter has gone? Happy post-Easter, everybody.
Thank
You
you.
get a wonderful Easter.
363 days until Easter.
Not necessarily.
Start counting it down. Yeah, not necessarily. It's not the same time every year, is it?
Oh, it is a leap year this year,
That's
I think,
right.
as well.
Is it really?
And Easter's different every year.
I'm going to confirm that.
What?
It's at a different time every
This
year.
is all blowing my mind.
It has been in March
Oh.
before.
Yeah.
We're already past
Yeah.
February.
Yeah.
It's not a leap year now.
Who sets that?
Next year, yeah.
Does the Pope say that?
We've already, yeah.
Does he set
Not
that?
A
necessarily.
collection of people in robes, I imagine.
I went off on
Next year,
one
leap
at the
year.
weekend about the
This is what you tune in for, isn't it?
the books stored in the bottom of the Vatican under vacuum.
You and your conspiracy theories. Just
I'm going down there.
Oh, take me with you. Take me with you. I want to see the monsters.
As you can tell by the background
Like an old
noise,
man.
we're at full strength again, which is wonderful. Everybody is back.
And everybody's front.
Ooh,
And yes, everybody's front as well. So without further ado, we should probably roll that intro.
not you.
Hello, boys. Pink lemonade?
Mom! Ooh.
Every orifice prolapse.
Look like an extra from Hellraiser.
Will it be like one of
There was
those,
a good cutback.
you know, those tubes that were filled with water, and they would just, you could fully like, yeah.
Oh, I got a funny
All
story.
we're going to hear is a splat.
Well, that's what you tune in for. This is what we do every week. I'm just going to be crying for most of this episode, but we'll see how we get through it. Welcome back, everyone. If you want to know what happened last time, get on YouTube. Watch it for yourself.
No, not now. No.
I'm not your mum. I don't tell you what to do. But a brief recap. Some pan-dimensional travel happened. Maybe it's pan-dimensional. Maybe things just look weird. Who knows? But you were in a place. You're now in another place. There was a lot of running across a bridge. There was a collection of bird people who you have met with orange beaks, little straw hats in a cone shape, and black feathers. You haven't had a good look at them yet, but they confronted you when you came off this bridge. And this session starts with a faint, distant, I don't know, Wesley, are you screaming? Or are you quite silent?
Probably wailing.
Wailing.
Probably.
A distance, how deep is your voice? How deep is your voice?
How deep is your voice?
Roll a d12.
It's probably just that's probably an ordinary voice, to
Yeah,
be honest.
relatively
Yeah,
ordinary.
yeah.
Cool.
I think, yeah, not.
You hear a very quiet, relatively ordinary wailing.
Yeah.
That's an
something
ordinary
like that.
The voice of a plain Lego man.
It gets louder and louder and louder. All of the beaked individuals in front of you, of which there are 4 of them stood in front of you, do kind of look around briefly. You can tell they're looking around by the way the beaks look. As you ever watched a bird, you can very much tell which direction it's looking in. It's fairly obvious. This wailing gets louder and louder and louder, and if you do turn around, you see a box that's roughly 5 foot by 5 foot, hurtling through the air at an incredible speed. It begins to slow slightly and stops just behind you as a group, and you'll notice it is a cage made out of a dark, almost basalt rock type material, to which the sides fall off, the top falls off, and inside is a rather dishevelled looking Wesley.
Wesley Debenham's back.
No one says anything.
It's just become normal after so long.
Wesley's here.
I did wonder where you go when we did the whole warpy thing.
This whole scenario has been set up so that you could just do that, hasn't it?
Are you Goric?
Are you Goric?
No. Are you Goric?
No.
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 Are they copying us?
It's hard to tell, really. Say something that he would never say.
Say something that he would never say.
Shit.
Are these orcs? What are they?
What? No, they're birds.
It's a bird.
What do you mean?
What do you mean, what's a bird?
I don't know. It's a
You don't
bird.
have birds where you come from?
There's nothing.
Nothing.
An inspirational poster.
Inspirational poster.
Oh, it's going to get old real quick. There's absolutely no point in asking you your name, is there?
It seems like they can only say things they've heard before.
Should we just push through?
Can I do a... Caston's
Absolutely.
way better than I am.
Gosh, wouldn't it have been useful if we had somebody here who could talk to the animals? That would have been really, really useful right now.
I would have.
Wesley?
Yes.
Can you talk to animals?
I'll inspect the field manual a moment and see if I can talk to animals.
Where do you get this?
Standard issue, this. Standard issue hard hat. Yeah, out in the field.
Impressive.
Safety first.
Can you describe your new hard hat that's appeared? Just now, Cameron.
Here's now a cannon, yeah. Yeah, for anybody that's in Moose World, the real world, it's a hard hat. If Rishi Sunak was going to Airbus today, imagine him, business suit, tie, hard hat. Yes, that's what I'm going with. If Rishi Sunak went to Airbus,
There's not many people who base their D&D character on Rishi Sunak.
Rishi's a small lad. I'm a small dwarf. Not saying that Rishi's a dwarf, but he's not very tall. But yeah, imagine Rishi Sunak.
Well, if we weren't going to get pulled off YouTube,
Yeah,
comparing Rishi Sunak to a dwarf probably will do it.
yeah, yeah.
Wesley,
Yeah.
before
Doesn't quite fit, you know.
His tie's blown over his shoulder.
Papers from Slipboard, wasn't it? Before you were overwhelmed by leaving your box, you claimed you'd never been somewhere as large as that.
Oh no,
What do you make of this?
I haven't even had a chance to take the surroundings in yet. Where are
Do you
we?
want me to describe it?
Oh please, yes.
So in front of you, other than the 4 bird people
Yeah.
that you can see, beyond that is a mountain range. And there's one very large mountain. Almost in front of it in the vista, there are 2 smaller mountains. But there is a mountain range in front of you made of those 3 mountains. A large one in the background and kind of 2 smaller ones in front of it. I can give you exquisite detail of each of those 3 mountains, but that's probably a little bit overwhelming for
I
now.
don't know.
You're stood on the end of a bridge, and that bridge is incredibly long. There's a not sheer rock face, but a very craggy rock face that goes down vertically until the bottom is lost in some kind of mist. It's almost mist mixed with some kind of sand material. It's hard to see the bottom of. But it almost makes, depending how you feel about heights, people feel differently. Even somebody with a pretty strong stomach, it would make them kind of feel a little bit dizzy looking down due to the sheer drop.
I don't think Wesley knows. Let's have a look. We'll roll for what Wesley thinks of heights. Doesn't like them. No.
There's a shocker.
I would say he might even just fall off out of
He
height.
might do. He might do.
But it's a
Yeah.
vast
Yeah, he
expanse.
doesn't like heights. I didn't realise that until I'm here now. Yeah.
I don't mean to meta and read your
Yeah.
character sheet. Is it fair to say Wesley would have had a long rest within his cage?
Yeah, he's had plenty of time. Yeah.
Oh,
so you can have
fantastic.
The rest of the party rest.
Excellent.
It's in my best interest.
As long as you take your hard hat off.
Yeah.
I can do that, yeah.
Yeah,
I did
otherwise
that,
you
yeah.
can get the
Keep
benefits
your
of
head
the rest.
on.
Yeah. Hard hat. Be down beside me.
Yeah. Nothing but a hard hat.
Yeah, it's very. It's not very nice. What is this place? Where are the walls? And I'll be starting walking forward probably towards stuff, just in a direction.
We got teleported here by a magical man who it was really quite lovely in the end actually.
Where's the edge?
But it's if you go over it, you'll find out.
There's always an edge.
Yeah, but
There's always a wall.
don't know what it's not. Imagine being out. You're always living inside a box, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah, imagine being on top of the box.
No, that doesn't happen.
Yes, well, that's,
No, that doesn't happen.
that's where we are. We're on,
No.
we're on top of the box.
In the box, strong and
So
stable.
there's one.
That was purposely placed. In the box.
We're on top of the box. Bird people, we come here and mean you no harm. I am a dog person, as you can see. That should not faze you.
One of the bird people, it's unlikely anyone other than seeing Felix has seen anything this strange before. They're fairly strange, outlandish creatures. You haven't heard of them, nobody's spoken about them, unless you're deliberately trying to find out things about them. You know, they're very unusual to behold, and they're not exactly hidden from view either. They came and found you, right? One of them, the reason I'm doing that preamble is it's, to be honest, quite hard to tell them apart. There's four of them. They look almost identical. They're all wearing a similar straw hat. One of them steps forwards to you, Felix, and it puts. You notice as it moves one of its wings, there's a taloned hand within it, almost within the inner part of the wing. The wing forms the back part of it, almost an arm. When they have their hands downwards, they almost look almost like a bird. Apart from their wings protrude slightly forwards rather than backwards. But when it rotates its hand around, you see there's almost an arm and a taloned hand that's only four-fingered, with big sharp talons on there, with kind of a greyish skin tone. It ruffles inside some feathers and brings out three objects. One looks like a snail shell. The other one looks like a ball bearing, a quite well-made ball bearing. And the other one is almost like a button of some description. It's got kind of two holes in it. It's made of brass. And then it holds out its hand towards you, offering these three separate items to you, and then stands to watch what you'll do.
Okay, I think it's we got anything to trade? Has anyone got any stones? You got electrics? You got anything?
I've got a pebble.
I think it'll be we'll take that from you. Has anyone got anything we can? I don't want to be taking nothing without giving someone back. You know anything?
Gold.
So we got a gold, we got a pebble, and maybe see if I got something in here. Spoilers, I don't. I got very good.
Anvil. I don't know if I've still got that anvil.
You left it back on the other clip.
I'll erase it from my inventory.
Yeah.
So he's going to
A priceless dwarven artifact that's been left on the other clip.
he's going to take one of his pitons,
Yeah.
a stone, and a gold piece. And he's going to offer it back.
He looks at what you've got and looks at what he's got, and he picks up the snail shell and puts it on your hand.
Yeah,
And then you think he's going to go for the stone, but then he picks the piton
yeah.
and puts that back on his hand.
It's pretty sharp, look out.
And then he puts that back inside his feathers. And then he flies away. But what is kind of strange when you first see it is he moves his hands back towards his feathers.
Yeah,
And you see that his shoulders almost invert,
yeah.
and they become almost wings on his back, and he just drops off the side of the cliff and flies away. And the other three are still stood there, kind of regarding you all.
Snail shell. Well, one down. Many more to go. I think we should just head on. They don't seem to be any harm. Still
No. I'll just go to walk past them and sort of
You've been on that page before.
Is that what it says?
I think the naughty boys are back.
The kids at the back of the bus.
No, I've just decided to use WikiHow as the field manual.
Oh,
How
nice.
WikiHow tells you, I'm searching how to make friends in WikiHow, and this is what the manual will say.
You will, so you go to brush past them. As you would have to get what could only be described as uncomfortably close, because they're stood, there's now 3 of them stood at the end of where the bridge kind of meets the cliff. They're stood in your way, is the best way to describe it. They're not blocking your path, but they're stood in your way. You'd be able to
I'll
brush
just sort of,
past
excuse me.
Yeah.
So politely
That's what I'll be saying.
muscle my way through.
Yeah, it's almost like trying to push yourself past like some very obnoxious pigeons. They have no interest in moving out of the way.
There is no other type of pigeon.
Yeah, and they don't seem particularly frightened. But you will be able to brush past them, and I mean you'll physically have to slide yourself between the 2 of them.
Yeah, whatever it
As
takes.
you get close enough to feel feathers brushing past you, and then the occasional kind of beak just kind of like you feel it on your temple as it kind of drags along the side of your temple. But they're not making any movement to stop you. They're tall. They're probably about 6 foot tall. You've noticed. They're not squat. They're all a bit kind of hard to behold when they first arrived, but you kind of realise that they're pretty tall creatures. As you brush past them, you feel that it's mostly feathers. There's a skeleton in there, but they're not. They're not particularly trying to stop you anyway. So Thaneus makes it through the bird wall.
Cool. Felix is going to take his snail shell
Mm.
and hold it up high,
Mm.
and he's going to walk through.
As you go to walk through, one of them just go "Brrr!" and starts rustling around inside the feathers, and then presents 3 other snail shells of different colours.
Oh, which colour? What colours?
One's kind of got a purple indentation, one's got a red indentation, and the other one's like a hazy grey colour.
Yeah. He's going to take the red one and put his shell back in the hand.
The other birds look at that bird, and they're all kind of looking at each other for a little while. He puts the shells back inside the feathers, and then he too flies away. And then there's only two remaining.
Oh, he's going to walk on through.
Such an easy battle.
But they do let you pass, so you kind of walk through. And now there's a bigger gap because there's less of them. But the other two, much like you would see a blackbird or some other bird, it's hard to discern any kind of like emotion, right? Their faces don't smile, they don't show any kind of. So it's a mixture of kind of, you might find that slightly eerie, or you might find it kind of endearing. They kind of don't seem to know, but they are looking at each of you in turn, and kind of their beaks, they're relatively larger, swapping between you as you come through.
Now that I'm behind them, I'm going to ready my crossbow,
Ooh.
Okay,
just in case.
just in case one of them.
Just in case that, suddenly they decide to not be as neutral as they appear.
Yeah, of course. You will. Can you make me a perception check? It's probably the best way to do it.
Bosh. 17.
That's pretty good. So you'll notice on these, and also for Wesley's point of view, I might not describe these to you. There's these kind of vertical, not vertical, but in the expanse, this chasm that's opened up. There's the bridge. There's also kind of small, kind of 5 foot wide, almost plinths that come the whole breadth. Obviously, as this what seems like a breakneck wind that's eroded most of the things in this gully. There's obviously like a harder stone within it that creates these like plinths.
Yeah.
You'll notice on 2 or 3 of them there are more of these creatures kind of dotted about. They're all regarding you, but they're in kind of a crouched position. Beforehand they looked quite small, but you notice it's because in kind of an eerie way their bones seem to fold over, so they can kind of almost have a stood up 6 foot tall form, and then almost like a squatter 4 foot form as they kind of fold over. You'll notice also in the mountain range around you, dotted here or there, are more of these feathered creatures. They're not hiding, but they can. It's very obvious to you that they could become very inconspicuous very quickly if they wanted to.
So now that I'm past them, it's just an open path behind me to the
Yeah, there's no actual. What's quite surprising is there's this big bridge all across this valley, and then there seems to be no path. It doesn't kind of. There's not kind of a well-trodden path that it goes onto. It kind of just is grassland. So there doesn't seem to be. There's no like road or anything like that. It kind of just opens up into this expanse, and you're kind of greeted by this mountain range. That's kind of all you can see, really.
Okay.
Lantrix will walk through / to them. She continues on, steadfast.
You notice
Not speak point.
there's a little pecking noise, and as you look back, one of the creatures is pecking your shield. It does it a couple of times, 4 or 5 times, wraps on the shield, and then moves ever so slightly to almost move into your way, and stops you from moving. Unless you deliberately try and push them out of the way, they'll kind of stop you from moving.
How close to the edge of the bridge is she?
You're like just off the bridge, like within kind of a couple of feet. These birds are kind of blocking the way a little bit. It ruffles around in its feathers, and it brings out a boot. It doesn't have any laces, and it's kind of dishevelled.
A little tiny metal boot.
It holds out.
A
It
little
holds
car.
out kind of a boot, a leather boot to you.
It wants to trade for the shield.
She'll take the boot and
You're going to have to carry that for the rest of the week, you know.
give them. She's going to give them a silver piece in exchange, or at least offer out a silver piece.
The creature almost thrusts the boot at you, and then pecks quite hard and picks up that silver piece, but actually it hurts your hand a little bit, like you're feeding a cockerel almost, and it does kind of lap this thing up, and you notice it deposit it somewhere under a feather. But as that happens, he's about to fly away, and the other bird gets quite excited and starts making a lot of noise. It starts saying odd words out loud that are in different. Some of them are different dialects, but most of them are in common. And it says things like, I don't think they're dangerous, I think they're actually quite intelligent. And then there'll be interspersed with random things like, oh, I think they're leaving now. Various words spilling out of it, mixed with cawing. And it too starts tapping your shield. Repeatedly.
What do you want? She's going to try and keep walking. She just wants to get off the bridge.
The one you gave yourself a piece to does fly away and flies down into this gully. But there's other birds. You can keep walking, and it kind of just clumsily stalks after you. You notice when they're walking in upright form, they're kind of clumsy. It's obviously quite strange for them to walk stood up. But occasionally you'll just hear this as it taps the back of your shield.
Is she still on? Is she off the bridge?
Yeah, she's off the bridge.
She's off the bridge. And where's Caston? Is he still?
Just chuckling.
Is
He's
he still on the
watching
bridge?
this happen.
He's watching
Did you
this.
get off the bridge?
Not if I have in this show.
Hmm?
No.
Oh.
Still there. I'm just taking it in.
You're welcome to. And now the path is clear.
Yeah.
There's just one of these creatures following Elantrix.
Hoping to give up no more coin. Basically, I'm just gonna follow this one and try and like almost sneak like around it. Like
She's just going to hold out another silver piece and try and give it to this thing
Throw it over the
to
edge.
get rid of it.
It looks at you briefly, and then kind of moves back slightly,
Do the fake doggy throw thing.
and ruffles around.
oh
his
no!
feathers.
You lose
What do you
Felix.
say, do that?
Ruffles around his feathers a bit and pulls out. It's like a bone, but you're not really sure what this bone is. But there's a bone that's kind of 4 inches across, and holds that out in a taloned hand.
It's worth 25 GP.
Yeah. Is it specially marked?
It's not a regular bone.
Okay, well, she'll take the bird's old tat
Yeah.
and exchange it for a silver piece. just to be done with this thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
very
ta-
quickly we'll ruffle that inside its feathers and
Oh,
it'll fly down into the
I'll
gullet.
have you know that's my grandfather's finger.
Old boot and a bone.
Yeah.
Lovely.
It's no
Don't
red
know.
shell, is it?
Don't know how
No,
important
shit.
that's going to come later on.
It's good about the Artful Dodger though. We've been played, haven't we?
Anyway. Okay.
So all of a sudden, all of these birds are flying around. Phineas has seen various creatures like this, kind of huddled here and there on the mountain range and the kind of periphery of vision and kind of on these plinths. But other than that, the way onwards isn't blocked. There's a mountain range ahead of you. It looks fairly arduous.
You want to have lost your pitons before going into that.
Oh, I've got 9. That's okay. So let me remind myself. We are trying to find maybe try and find the dwarves, but we're also trying to find the special rocky, lifey thing.
Rosset the wood elf.
Yeah, maybe we need to use the lens. Try and work out which way to go.
Don't forget Goric.
Yeah, well, yeah,
We need to find Goric.
yeah.
I told you, if we find Goric,
Yes.
I'll probably kill him. Do you really want us to find
We can't
Goric?
do that.
That's canon.
We need to find Goric.
You hang back there. What do we? How do you use the lensy things?
I guess they're still pointing for the way we're going. Are there multiple ways to go, or is there a
You
single way?
pack them up, right?
Mm.
So you back them up into they all kind of slide into one another. If you got them out now,
But they were pointing over the bridge before, weren't they? So,
that's right.
is there anywhere else to go, or is there just the way to go?
Well, there's a mountain range in front of you.
Mm.
In theory, you
A
could
vast
skirt,
plain of-
and there's kind of a grassy plain in front of that. There's a long ways off to your left hand side. There's a long ways off to your right hand side. But the mountain range in front of you is the only
Get
thing
your
that's
lenses out.
obvious.
Mm.
You can give me some kind of check to figure out where you are geographically and what that might mean. But that's about as much as you can piece together from where you are.
We go through the mountains.
Fine. How do we
I don't want to go a huge distance in the wrong direction, though. Don't you think we should check?
This is the right way.
I heard that Goric is in the mountains.
Let's go.
Follow that man.
Where's the mountains? What's a mountain?
The
Big
big
things in the
triangles.
distance.
They're not very big.
Oh,
It's because they're in the distance.
we're not going to have the. Please tell me we're not going to have that conversation. Anybody going to get any plastic cows?
So you're trekking towards the mountains. That's the plan. There are rocky outcrops here and there, but other than that, this is grassland. It's fairly wide and open. You estimate it's probably going to take you kind of half a day's travel to get the closest of the three mountains, but once you get there, you're probably going to be nestled amongst them. While they look like individual mountains, you could probably guess, you all adventurers, you kind of know these things, other than Wesley, that they're probably interconnected. It probably looks like they're separate from here, but it's probably going to be a range, and it'll be 3 peaks of the same thing. But you think it's going to be half a day's travel to get you there. I'm not going to make you spend half a day's travel to get there, but as long as you all agree that's the direction you're going in, you will travel for half a day, and it'll make it roughly noontime. I think it was early morning, when you came out
Yeah.
of teleportation.
Yeah, because we slept overnight.
Yeah.
Felix discusses how he wonders if we'll ever wish we made friends with those bird things and that they could have flown us to exactly where we wanted to go.
Fly, you fools!
Like if we wanted to drop a ring into a volcano or something.
I think it would have taken us longer to have communicated our wishes to them than it would have for us to have walked.
Oh, but okay, that's fine. Yeah.
That being said, during your travels,
They keep flying past us into the mountain.
you are not
Of course they do.
completely lost of these bird creatures.
Mm.
Either because you really don't know if it's because you're there or if they always do this. But every now and again, you will hear the lapping of wings above your head, and you'll see something that's larger than an average bird fly past, mostly towards the mountain range. And that's what's quite weird about it, is it's hard to tell whether it's because you're here or because they always do that at this time of day. Very occasionally, you'll hear a flutter of wings and one will land nearby. Again, same straw hat. It's hard to know if it's one of the ones you've seen before or actually if it's a completely different one. And they'll land fairly close by, probably within 20 feet. They don't do anything. They just kind of stand there and slowly watch as you walk. And when you've got some good distance away from them, they'll take off again and fly towards the mountain range. None of them get any closer than that. I will allow you to interact with them. You can actually say, no, enough's enough, I'm going to go have a conversation with one of them now or do something. But if you don't and continue, you'll take half a day, you'll get to the mountain range by noon.
Why do you think they wear hats?
Why don't you go and ask one?
It's still very aerodynamic. Excuse me! Hello!
There is one that's landed and fairly close by and will regard you as you're kind of saying things.
Why do you wear hats and how did you make the hats and where did the hats come from? 3 questions.
Hats?
For our audio listeners, he pats his head.
We
The
have
bird
computers.
creature takes this hat off his head and kind of regards it. And then in a taloned hand holds it out to you.
Cool, he's going to offer him the red snail shell.
He will offer out another hand.
Yeah.
And he'll take the red snail shell. And then he'll reach out and put the hat on your head.
Yes.
It's quite big for you, actually. It
Yeah.
kind of comes probably above,
Oh,
or slightly
yes,
below
I
your
can-
eye line.
I'm picturing this now.
Actually, this is perfect.
Yeah, but it's a woven,
Little dog with a giant straw hat on.
yeah, woven,
Fantastic.
woven straw hat. It's kind
Yeah.
of in a cone shape, but it's large.
Keeps the sun off.
And he'll take the snail shell on it. It's quite a strange creature to behold without the hat, actually, because it's like quite a large
Yeah.
bird-like. It doesn't have any humanoid features. It's almost 100% bird in the face.
Yeah.
Unlike, I presume, unlike Felix, that kind of has a bit more motion in the jaw and kind of a little bit more humanoid.
Yeah, well, more like a dog that's learnt how to emote humanly, as
Yeah.
opposed to a dog
Scooby-Doo.
that can emote
Yeah,
humanly. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Like his smile is very awkward. You know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. I get that.
You did that rather well.
In which case, they're probably very similar.
I make my dogs do it all the time.
Other than the fact this creature has a beak to deal with, right?
Yeah.
But even their eyes are, they're either open or shut. They don't have any kind of emotion. And you might find that disconcerting. You might think that's absolutely fine.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he didn't answer any of his questions. He just traded the hat.
He puts his hand back within his
Oh,
feathers,
this is going to be expensive.
and he pulls out a snail shell,
Oh.
fairly common. There is a stone in there, and also a silver piece.
Oh, it's
Um,
you.
And he puts them all on the ground, within like 6 inches of one another in a line, and then just looks at you.
Oh, maybe. Okay. No, okay. Well, let's have a think. So there's a snail shell, a gold piece, and a rock.
Silver piece.
Silver
and a
piece.
rock.
Very important. Well, he's going to slide the silver piece towards him, and the rock.
Towards the bird creature.
Yeah, and he's going to be like, "You live down here?"
He looks down and slides the silver piece back towards you.
It's very hard to tell if that is yes or no. I think yes. You live in. He's going to slide the rock one more towards him. You live in the mountains.
He's going to slide the silver piece one more towards you.
Okay. We are going towards mountains. He's going to slide the silver piece all the way over to the stone.
He does the beak starts waggling up and down.
Mm.
Seems like he's understanding what you're saying, or they're understanding what you're saying.
Okay. Mm.
Do
Is
you
it-
need food
Oh, good
or
noise.
water?
Oh, sweet jeepers.
It's funny you should say that because I was just thinking about shooting one of them to stick on a barbecue.
Yes, please. Yes, we do. We do. Is that? He's going to slide the snail shell towards him. Water?
We live in the mountains.
Water, river, lake.
I'm going to pick up the snail shell.
Mm.
He just puts it back in his feathers.
Oh boy. Does anyone else know how to speak bird? Or stone?
Wesley will come over. He's read the field manual.
Can you please some help?
I'm coming over, and the first thing I'm going to do, I'll be as I'm coming over, I'll be taking notes at my field manual.
There's a silver piece in the
Yeah.
stone on the floor.
I'm
There's
not
no
even-
bird
not even
creatures
looking at that.
staring.
That's not in the field manual. I'll be muttering, look for opportunities to talk to people. And I'll say, "Isn't it a gorgeous day?" I'll look back down and go, "Your feathers are awesome." And he'll keep looking at the manual, just looking back.
Tell him you got a box to
I
carry.
will.
Felix is going to put
It
his
says-
fists on his waist
It
and
says,
just
make
watch.
eye contact and smile. So I'll look him right in the eyes and just start smiling.
It matches like your cadence of your hand. As
Yeah.
you nod, it nods
And
as
it
well.
says down here, yeah, mirroring other person's body language is a great way to build rapport. So I'll start to mirror the bird's body language. How's the bird standing?
It's fairly awkward, yeah.
Yeah,
It's kind
I'll-
of slightly lopsided, maybe. It's obviously not used to being
If we
stood
keep
up
walking,
at 6
Wes-
foot.
perhaps
Wesley will
it'll be
probably
by
try
the time
and-
they notice
Yeah.
we've
Try and
gone,
stand
it'll
in a
be
similar
too
way,
late for them
looking
to
straight in
catch
his
up.
eyes, smiling. Isn't it a gorgeous day?
Isn't it a gorgeous day?
Yes!
Yes.
You have some awesome feathers.
You have some awesome feathers.
I don't have feathers.
I don't have feathers.
Oh, I'll keep reading. Try a variety of conversation starters. Can you help me carry a few boxes?
Boxes.
Can you help me carry a few boxes? Looking, smiling. Yes.
Boxes.
Boxes.
Tell him to get the anvil.
He starts
Yeah.
tapping this silver coin on the floor. You just see this tapping.
I'll probably start tapping as well. Can you help me decide which one of these is a better gift for my friend?
Gift?
Yes.
Gift?
Yes.
Gift? He starts tapping the silver coin again.
Cool. I'm going to pick it up. I love your shoes.
Can you tell me the way to the station?
Regards his taloned feet.
So,
Too bad.
yes. I'm
He
Wesley.
He seems concerned that you've picked up the silver piece.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh.
Starts looking at it.
Yeah, hey man, you need to trade. You
Oh.
can't be taking things.
Boxes. Gift.
Boxes.
Give him a box.
Do you want to go out for lunch or coffee?
It seems to hear lunch,
Yeah.
and it regurgitates a saying from somewhere. It
Yeah.
says,
Oh, so-
I think.
There's your lunch!
I think they want to feed us something.
Yes. I'll pull out some rations. I've got some rations with me.
We live in the mountains.
Yes.
Box.
Good weather.
Gift.
Yes.
We live in the mountains.
Gift. Food. Rations.
Clawed talon comes out, and you notice the reach of this thing. It's a 6-foot creature, so there's this kind of grey talon comes out
Yes.
and does grab hold of the rations and will slowly take it. It's a little bit bulky, but you notice as it starts rustling around the feathers, it kind of awkwardly moves a little bit more than it did before.
Yes.
It does eventually disappear. There is a skeleton in there somewhere, but it seems mostly feathers.
Pursue common interests.
You like cages.
I do like cages. Do you have any clubs?
Clubs.
Sports clubs?
Sports.
Cooking clubs?
Cooking.
Cooking clubs!
Food. Water. We
Yes.
live in the mountains.
Yo! It's going well, this, isn't it?
I don't think it is. So, I think he's repeating things that other people have said.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I think we're building a rapport.
I think that someone lives in the mountains, someone found these birds, and someone likes food, but not the birds.
No.
I'm going to take the manual
Oh yeah. Careful!
You're beyond this, buddy. a charming headlock will seal the deal.
Oh,
There you are, buddy. That is your ticket in.
thank you very much.
Nice firm grip on the neck.
Grip round the neck. I'll offer him a silver piece back.
You look at it and kind of deliberately not try and take it off you. If you move towards with it,
Yes.
he'll move away.
He wants the headlock.
I'll keep approaching.
He'll put his hand back in his feathers and draw out the ration pack again.
No,
And
I
offer
don't
it-
want
offer
a
it.
ration pack. No, I'm going to refuse his offer.
Mine eating.
And then
Yeah.
he slowly retracts it back and puts
And then
it
I pull
close
the
with it.
coin out.
He won't take it.
I'm going to start throwing things out of my bag at him. He's going to have another ration pack. Another ration pack. Another ration pack. A torch.
Gift! Box! We live in the
Gift.
mountains!
Gifts. Another
Gift.
torch.
Gift!
Gift.
Gift!
Gift.
So there's a small pile of rations.
Yes.
And he picks up one of the rations in a tongue.
Yes.
Gift!
Yes. Gift for you.
Another, you hear a load of feathers ruffling and another one lands close by.
Yes.
You just hear another voice going, Gift!
I go, I am Wesley.
Gift!
This is a gift.
You hear another rustling of feathers. Before you know,
Yes.
there's 3 of these things.
Yes.
They're all saying, Gift!
Yeah, this is bad.
Gift.
Gift! They
Gift.
start grabbing things off the
Gift.
floor like ration packs and torches.
Well, it's headlock
yeah.
time, actually.
Do you think it's headlock time?
I think it's
I reckon
headlock time.
3 minutes from now, and there's going to be a fight.
Yeah.
No.
So you
Gonna
want to get the
start-
headlock in before
I'm
that?
going to start
Start
counting
scrabbling
down.
around in the dust.
Yeah.
It is getting slightly heated.
I'll start scrabbling with them. I'm mirroring their body language. I don't know what's going on.
All of a sudden,
get
there's a raucous noise. There's lots of carring. There's lots of shouting, and then lots of flapping of wings, and they all fly away. They
Oh.
just fly off towards the mountains. There is nothing left of anything
Oh.
that you've thrown on the floor.
Success, I think.
What were you trying to achieve?
I made friends with them.
Okay, I got this sweet hat, so you know who won.
Better get rid of some rations.
Felix is going to hang with Danaeus. I'm a little bit concerned for my well-being.
Hmm. Oh, you'll be all right from above. They'll think you're one of them.
That's correct,
reckon
and I'm the
3, 4?
correct colour.
Throw 5.
Sweet hat.
Delete 5 rations. 2 torches.
Threw so much stuff.
Can we get on? I mean, it's a long way to the mountains, and they're not getting any closer.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
You continue walking, unless anyone stops you. You'll keep walking down this path. Again, you see the odd fluttering of feathers as things fly overhead. But as the sun reaches kind of midday in the sky, you notice that the ground around you's got more craggy, more rocky. The grass starts to die away, and you kind of replace by this rocky outcrop. There's kind of crabgrass here and there. There's obviously vegetation. It's not devoid of vegetation, but it kind of grows in odds and ends where it can on kind of shelves of rock. As you get a bit closer, everything you thought previously was correct. This is a single mountain range, it looks like, of 3 peaks, but it's hard to kind of tear them apart, if that makes sense. They are almost as if one massive rocky structure is jutting out of the ground at odd angles, but there are 3 peaks to it.
Does it look unnatural?
It doesn't look unnatural. It's fairly natural as far as you can tell. It's a little bit odd that it's on its own. It doesn't make kind of a horizon range, but it is a very, very large mountain that has 3 peaks to it. The biggest central peak of the 3 goes right up out of your vision into the kind of clouds, and you can see that it's actually snow-capped as you get closer.
We're still heading the right way.
Yes.
How far do you reckon we've walked so far?
It's hard. It's half a day's travel, so it's hard to determine distance.
It's
really,
the furthest you've ever walked.
Yeah, I was going to say, Wesley probably looks like he's pooed his pants a little bit because he's He's very athletic for an old man. Like he's ripped, but you can tell he's been most probably in a box,
Forgot he was
just
old.
working out, just sat there working out. But he's so he's in really good shape, but he's never walked this far. You know, it's like with the boots on, it's all the muscles that you don't really use, all the tendons and ligaments are starting to hurt a bit. So he's probably a bit like waddling a bit.
You didn't do the thing where you just walk to the edge of your cell and then you start to do it with your eyes closed, just counting the steps.
They'd be in prison, Carl. How many times have you been in prison?
Caston has been.
Okay.
That much is true.
Yeah.
He's learned to punch walls and just not feel the pain.
The entire opening sequence.
Yeah.
It's just me
Punching the walls.
punching the prison walls.
Yeah.
So there's a mountainous range in front of you.
It's real big. Can Felix work out how high up they are already based on the oxygen level in the air in his nose?
That's a tall order.
Trying to smell how fresh the air is.
17 plus. Investigation -1, 16.
-1.
Yeah.
I like that. 16. The air doesn't feel thin. You're used to exerting yourself, so the air doesn't feel particularly thin where you are right now.
Oh.
So you'd imagine you're not very high off the ground relative to sea level.
I don't think these mountains are too big.
They're pretty big to me.
Oh, they're all below the dead zone. You know what I'm talking about?
Are we going up, around, through?
I think dwarves are meant to be down, right? Not good.
So we're going to
climbers.
look for an entrance into some tunnels, maybe?
A door.
Door. A dwarven door.
The door would be high, though. Higher than here.
Why?
Because you don't want to be flooded.
Oh, yeah, that's actually supposed to be a good point.
I'll have to sort of unpack the lens.
Yeah. You unpack the lens, and as you do, you rest at the palm of your hand, much like you were shown to do by your compatriot. It does point towards the mountains. It does a fair amount of spiralling at different points. It's obviously zeroing in. It does point towards the mountains fairly strongly. It will pick out something off over to the left-hand side every now and again, just wavering, and then come back to the mountains again.
Did you befriend the guy that looked like he'd been dug up?
We elaborate.
Oh, that guy.
The mushroom man.
Yes! Did you befriend him? This was in his area.
We
Yes.
kind of rescued him.
Rescued him?
Proper headlock.
Dreadlock him?
Yeah.
You must be great friends now.
While all this is going on,
Wow.
is there any sign of a path?
Not
Any
evil.
indication
Not
that
evil,
anybody
then,
has passed this way
That's a
before
very
us?
good question.
Teleported us to.
Anything?
Yeah.
Any sort of indication that we're not the first people to have been along here in 1,000 years, other than some straw hat wearing birdies?
I am going to make you roll for it, but depending what information you want, you can roll as you wish.
I'm looking for evidence of inhabitation or passing through-ness.
It's likely to be a survival check.
Survival.
If this was 3.5e, would there be like a whole half a page section on it? Yeah.
When you're trying to
looking
find
for
a path, that's
Yeah.
knowledge paths.
Is it really? Nice. I was going to say,
It's not quite
that's
that specific.
amazing.
It'd probably be something like knowledge. I don't know what you'd roll in 3.5, but yeah, there'd be a specific skill for it. Knowledge to engineering, maybe
It's only a 5.
5.
I am
Really,
looking really hard.
really hard to tell because again, you're in a rocky mountain outcrop. You're a city boy. You're taking a look around. It looks like a mountain to you. There's nothing. There's no path has led you to this place.
How often do I have to keep really looking for something until I find something?
If we were playing Call of Cthulhu, that would be called a stretched roll, I think, or a confirmed roll, and you can only do it twice.
In a
It
campaign?
gets harder every time.
Is it in a
Well,
campaign or just
if
at the
it's
session?
called pushing the roll. That's what it's called. So in theory, I can let you do it, but it would be pushing the roll, which means that it normally has a negative consequence.
The DM doesn't like you.
Push it.
I like that rule.
Yeah,
I like the
pushing the roll is a good one. Yeah, it's normally harder and has a negative consequence.
What sort of negative consequences?
Ow!
The metagame anvil drops from the sky.
Dropped by a giant bird.
A giant bird.
Okay. Go whatever that way.
What are we doing here apart from looking at Goric? You said that the old man sent us here.
This device.
What device? Oh, that, sorry.
Holding these lenses.
Yes.
This is leading us
That's
to where
correct.
we need to be.
To the Dwarven Anvil.
No.
No,
It was on a Dwarven Anvil.
it was.
Does it not need a Dwarven Anvil?
No,
Oh, okay.
no.
I'll
this,
trust you.
This is leading us to the. Well, Seisu.
Who? Say what?
Say Sue.
Say who?
So what?
The god of life.
Don't what you mean, she's very knowledgeable, you ask her.
I gotta admit, the God of Life seems like it's doing a pretty crap job.
Do I know of the God of Life? DMs?
That's a good question. How much you know? You don't know much about Asher, do you?
No, I've kind of been listening.
Listening.
Well, I don't-
if you've been
yeah.
listening, then you will have heard of people talk about Stacey.
But from my
Hello, Russ.
knowledge of potentially what I believe, do I believe it to be a bit of mumbo jumbo?
Probably.
I
Yeah,
haven't been taught that from, yeah.
probably. It's not. It won't be in the manual.
Not in the manual, yeah, not in the manual then, yeah.
Is there anything in the manual about religious beliefs?
Remember that whole getting
probably
banned
not,
from
no.
YouTube thing?
No, it's pretty totalitarian.
Easy
The
so in which
probably.
case,
Well,
you,
yeah.
probably,
Just
you
says-
might have heard of it.
Just
but
says
you won't know
mumbo
it.
jumbo.
I have been in a box for like 400 years. So yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, they definitely like to limit your knowledge. So yeah, there's no
Once we
worship.
do find Seisu,
Say who?
probably headlock straight away.
Headlock.
That's your first port of call.
Cool.
I
Make
think.
friends.
Yeah, make friends with Seisu.
Throw rations. Headlock.
Yeah.
Nice.
So doing a quick count of the populace, if you like.
Mhm.
Two of you spend most of your life in Equa.
Mm-hmm.
One of you spend most of your life in a box.
In a box. Yeah.
Elantrix is originally from Equa, but spent a lot of time in Spetakaza. And has done a fair amount of
A
travelling.
reasonable amount of travel.
Reasonable amount of
But
travelling.
mostly within the Elven Kingdom.
That's right. And then Caston spent wilderness in the north.
Lightlands and kind of city arrests.
Cool. So
Pretty
you've
much, but-
seen a bit of both.
You're
so,
our most travelled member.
I was going to say, so Caston's probably the only person who feels relatively comfortable with where you are right now. The reason I'm saying that is because you're quite far. You feel very far away from civilization. You feel very far away from a building, or somebody that speaks a language that you understand. Some of you will have never left the Elven Kingdom before, and now you aren't in there anymore. And that is becoming very apparent. There seems to be kind of a natural feeling of structure and order, whether you like it or not, in the Elven Kingdom. That doesn't exist here. Now, Caston probably feels very much at home with that. The rest of you probably feel a little bit uncomfortable. As we mentioned before, there's no discernible path or vision that there's been anybody here. It is as far out into the wilderness as you can possibly be at this point. If you were to fall and hurt yourself, it's literally only you guys who would be able to be a helping hand, and you start to discern one another a little more closely when you realise your only lifeline are the people around.
Note that down. If you should fall and hurt yourself.
Or think of it as this: out here, you're your own boss.
I've always
You're
been
in
my
charge.
own
You're in
boss.
charge. You're in charge. You're in charge. I'm in charge.
I've got the man. The bureau.
And you want to sleep here? You sleep here.
Can I? My legs
You
hurt.
build your own house. Ain't no one's gonna tax this house.
Tax?
My man, you don't pay tax.
Not a big tax. I don't get paid.
Bam!
Yeah!
It's the best place we can be. Got everything we need right here.
I don't even know where we are we?
He's gonna reach down. Is there anything edible on the floor?
Gravel.
Even if it's disgusting.
There's a
Anything
bit-
with any nutrients.
Yeah, there's probably like a dandelion leaf.
Wow.
Yeah.
Here you go, my friend.
I'll eat it.
Snack.
Normally comes through the hatch.
Yeah.
But yes! You are the hatch.
What's the food like that you normally eat?
Mashed potato.
Mashed potato. So this
Yeah.
is quite flavoursome.
Mm.
So,
Mashed potato
Yeah.
through the hatch.
yeah.
Mashed potato.
Like Bodger Badger.
Particularly runny.
Overly milked.
Yeah, not even good mashed
Yeah.
potato.
So,
I've never,
oh, dear.
I consume my food and liquids in the same meal. I've never drank a drink. It's just milky mash.
It'd be the milk. It'd be the mashed powder. You add water with
Smash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smashed
I
potato.
wasn't gonna.
Yeah, not
Other-
brand, not
All,
other.
Yeah.
instant
all his
mashed
meals were
potatoes.
served up by little metal robots.
Probably just trying to swallow the dandelion.
Yeah, in
Leave
which case
whole
this is-
without chewing.
It's a seeded one as well. Not seed.
Yeah, if you slightly furry taste, and it's up to you whether you
Well, I
like it or
think.
not, but it's very bitter. Is probably
Yeah.
the best way to describe it. Mashed potato is fairly
Yeah.
smooth, whereas this is the opposite of that. It's lumpy and bitter.
Fairly neutral. It's a bit chewy. It goes on for a bit, doesn't it? Ooh, blimey.
But that nutrients goes on.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, nutrients.
Everything you need to grow in there.
Excellent.
Felix's
Oh.
tummy rumbles.
I'll look
Mix
for,
and
I'll look for another dandelion leaf for you, yeah. Nutritious, they say.
I miss sausages.
Oh.
You're from here, Castle?
I've been in similar rounds. I doubt I'm from here, right? No, not from here, but this is perfect land for the taking. We could just stay here. Why do we have to go further than this? There's no one telling us what to do. There's no one imposing ideas on us.
You are talking to a Landtrix, right?
But you've been a long way now. Isn't this just nice? Just existing as your own person? Away from the pack, away from the mission. I bet there's a lovely little pool down there. We can chill. We can ferment some greens. Have a whale of a time. And then we move on. Why is there the schedule? The urgency? This knell's been around for how many hundreds, thousands of years? What makes you think the next one's going to ring so soon?
I think I'm expecting it to ring sooner than even we might understand.
Wesley, what do you think about that now?
He tuned into the radio station once, and he's just in his head. He's got "Ring my knell, ring my knell." He doesn't even hear you. He's just he's just jamming it. Yeah. Don't know where he picked that frequency up from, but yeah, good tune.
Casting picks up a dandelion.
For you, Caston, it's probably fairly pleasant. You're used to surviving out in the wild. As far as dandelions go, it's quite pleasant. It's bitter, but in a refreshing way. You survive on those. You get all your base nutrients pretty easily.
Well, it's no jackalope, but
Yeah, you'd still be hungry, but you wouldn't. You're pretty sure with
That's
your
a little,
base
um,
level of survival knowledge, you'd
it's
probably
like
be
little
able.
jelly beans or a little snack.
Absolutely,
Is there any sign of wildlife thinking about it? Any?
that's a good question. Somebody can make me a nature roll if you want.
Somebody else want to do it?
I once saw a tree.
It's not going to be great. 3.
3.
Somebody else want to do it?
You have once seen a tree.
Felix looks down between the claws on his paws. There's like an ant moving. And he's just like, oh my god. Nature is disgusting. That's it. Anyone else want to roll a nature roll?
Well, can I roll survival? Because I'm particularly looking for nature that walks and will be tasty.
Absolutely, you can do that.
I'm rolling a 0 nature roll. 18.
Ooh, 18. That'll do it. You're pretty sure you'd be able to hunt in this area if you wanted to. There's a load of things around here. Like, while you can't see them initially, you see little footprints here or there. You're pretty sure they'd be jackalopes. They're probably more mundane creatures like rabbits and hares that you'd be able to find. You see very large tracks that are taloned here and there, thus indicating your bird friends are in the area. There's also little cleft hooves that you're not really sure what they are. Probably some kind of goat creature. You've kind of not seen one like it before, but you're pretty sure it's some kind of mountain goat, perhaps.
We wear hats.
Yeah. But other than that, what should be communicated is you don't see any human, dwarven, halfling footprints as far as you're aware. Animals, yes, but nothing else.
I don't want to be that guy, but we do seem to be wandering somewhat aimlessly. Do we really know what we're looking for here?
Yes, Goric.
Do you know what Goric looks like?
No.
Do you know what Goric is?
No.
You ate Goric earlier.
Oi.
The snack I gave you was Goric.
That's not Goric. I'm looking for Duergar. Don't know what one of them is. But I'm looking for one.
Duergar.
Yeah. A Goric.
Aren't you a dwarf?
No, I'm a Wesley.
He is a Duergar.
I'm a Wesley Debenham.
So he doesn't know.
No.
It's awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, where did he even come from? It's weird.
Stretching your mind back, thinking about Duergar, can you make me a history check, please, Avantrix?
Pretty high.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty high.
29.
Do
I think is the highest roll of the entire campaign.
You know everything about dwarves that there is to know.
What's your plus on history? Plus
9.
So
All he had
rolled
is
20
nothing.
and wow.
Right, well, we'll just sit here and listen to you tell him everything he knows about dwarves.
Here's
I've ever
everything you
rolled.
need to know about dwarf. No, not quite. You know a smattering of things. You've mentioned before that dwarves have interested you, and up until very recently, you weren't entirely sure if it was a myth and whether they actually existed. You're kind of hoping they existed, given that the royal bloodlines were linked to some of the mythology that you're kind of pursuing, but you knew nothing much about them, and the very limited writings there are on it are hard to come by. However, you do have a book in your possession, if you remember rightly, and the book was entitled, can you remind me before I find it?
Spotter's
Grudges
Guide
of
to
Our Fathers.
The Grudges of Our Fathers, which you are considering whether it's an original or a very well-made copy of the original. And am I right saying you can or can't read Dwarven? You can. So you can read it fairly well. You close to the front of the book, a couple of things are mentioned. There's a grudge mentioned in there of the individual who forged the Smithy Highway felt that he was unpaid or not paid correctly to his artisan craft. It mentions a lot of things. A lot of Dwarven language seems very much obsessed with very specific measures, weights, lengths, and angles of things, and it gives the very precise measurements of what is what is termed the Smithy Highway. From what you can discern, and you're not an engineer, it's big. It's very, very big. From the technical documentation, it looks like it was outside of the mountain and stretched inside of the mountain. You're a clever person. You can probably discern from that this was
Outside the mountains.
outside going into the mountain. You can discern from that it was made for non-dwarves to enter the mountain. But it's big, really, really big.
You might think it's a long way down to the shops. but that's small potatoes compared to this.
Okay. And do I assume we're on it?
There's no particular road that you can see, but there is another grudge in there, specifically on Arlek. And I won't spell it because it's in Dwarven. That uses a very particular type of Dwarven, which is something that doesn't really exist in the common tongue, and it uses a pronoun as if it's a male, non-living object, as opposed to a male living person. But it is gendered, and it is an object. But as you kind of read about this grudge against Arlek, it's to do with it ruining the view of the Smithy Highway. Through careful discerning of the words used around Arlek, and it takes you a long time. Elantrix is reading this book for a fair
29, Oliver.
That is a good roll.
29.
Exactly. Arlek, based on all the language you're reading and the kind of history around it, you think is a mountain. It's referring to a mountain. Based on all the dimensions and technical documentation around Arlek and the grudge specifically that it's ruining the view, you would think that it's the mountain on your left-hand side, the closest to you.
The mountain is blocking the view.
Let's knock it down. How close are we? Is it not
Putting
that
all of this together, you think what that means is the Smithy Highway is somewhere behind that map.
Yeah.
Or at least it was at some point in time. It's towards the start of this book, so we're talking ancient history. But that's what this book is trying to tell you, is that people are very angry at the fact that they've not been paid correctly for this road because they think it's worth more than they were paid. And also that people are very angry with this mountain and they want the mountain to know about it because it happens to be in the wrong place.
No wonder that-
These grudges go on and on and on, and there are many very similar ones. It seems to be things that can't be resolved are written down in the grudges of our fathers. There are references to different classes of dwarves, but you can't quite make out what it's going on about. But not all of them are mentioned in the book. Some are referenced specifically. There's a couple of castes or classes maybe that are mentioned in the book, but it's ancient language, so it's hard to discern what it's talking about.
How do you get through that mountain?
Well,
She
at least
looks
we
to the left.
at least we now have a direction to go.
We go
Something to aim
over,
for.
or we go round. If we go in the valley in between, and it's meant to be on the other, maybe we catch up a bit.
Can we just move it?
Being
Muttering a...
Being angry at a mountain for being in the wrong place, that is a next level of grudge, that is.
Somebody put it there. Can we just put it somewhere else?
With faith the size of a mustard seed. Had to do it.
One thing shouting at the wind, but being angry at a mountain, that's impressive.
Gaston, you're the wild man.
We can't move
Do-do-do.
this mountain. That's a silly suggestion.
What do you mean? The book said somebody put it there.
I don't know anything about these dwarves. Maybe they can move mountains or go through mountains. Maybe they've got secret passages to go through. Who knows?
I was just thinking that maybe it's a metaphorical, maybe they went through the mountain. Maybe there's tunnels.
We would have to go.
Direction.
We'd have to go to the mountain first to find out.
Yes.
It's still a fair way away, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's accessible. You're kind of at the foot of it right now.
Or like in a lowland.
Yeah.
I would go over the side of it,
Yeah.
personally.
Okay.
I'm not relishing the idea of going up to the top of the mountain and then down the other side.
So a little bit up, a little bit round.
No way around. Yeah.
What are we going around it for?
Because we're going to fight them.
Yeah, I know, but didn't they say there's 3 mountains and one of them's in the way
Mm.
of the other 2 mountains, which we can presume are the Dwarven mountains?
Yeah.
Why don't we just go to the other mountain rather than go around it to the back of the mountain? Can we not just go to that mountain? That's the one we want to be in.
There's only one specific way in.
Do we know if it's on the back?
I assume so.
What makes us believe that the way ends on the back?
Because we need to find this road.
What's a road?
Yeah, he's not the one.
I have a feeling you can say that.
Lead on.
He leads on.
So how are you gonna try and head up toward, kind of traverse up the mountain, or
We're going
travel round it?
round the mountain.
Which
Put some dirt in my hand and let it
Yeah.
And he's gonna point that way. And he's gonna go slightly up and round.
open round to the right, because the right hand side would take you in between the two mountains. There's kind of the one in front of you. There's one
Into-
slightly back, and there's a
Through
large
the-
one back.
Into the valley.
Cleft.
The cleft.
Into the valley.
Nice. Absolutely, you absolutely can do that. You set off in front of you. You leave the safety of the plains behind you, and you start walking up into what's craggy rock.
Hang on a minute.
Um,
Leaving the safety of the plains behind
Let's
us.
call it our season.
Music change.
Yeah.
Egg chamber.
All of a sudden, the ground beneath you isn't quite as sure-footed. It's rocky. It's a little bit more less forgiving. You might stumble every now and again.
Do we see any of these gates around?
You don't immediately see a goat. No, not immediately at least.
There's
But you
no
start.
horses, but there are gates, Jack.
There are goats. The best way to describe it is schlepping through the mountain. Schlepping.
Is that a real word?
It is now.
Oh,
I'm the
nice.
DM. I can make these things up.
I like it.
Me and William Shakespeare are the
No,
two people who can make up
schlep.
that. You start shroving through the mountain.
William Shatner.
You Shatner through the mountain.
Oh,
He
the one.
drove through the mountains.
Want to start doing spoken word songs now, but I'll save it.
Jingle bells.
Can you make a survival check for me, Caston, to show how you're picking through the wilderness? Somebody can support in. You can either roll advantage or somebody else can roll a survival check as well.
Moist rolling. What? You roll survival.
If I help, it's probably not going to be a help.
Is
do
22.
it.
22.
Yeah, no.
What did you get?
5
Okay,
plus
man.
0.
Survival.
Can you give your best help
Yeah.
to Caston for us?
He's mostly just like trudging and moping to himself. I miss cobblestone streets.
Your misery powers me on.
Some more power.
I got a 15 I can add to it.
Oh, well done. How are you helping, Caston?
Pushing him from behind. Go on, keep going. Just steadying him if the ground starts to slip away from
I'll
him.
dodge that.
So, how are you leading the pack then, Caston? Because you're doing it very well.
I'm literally just head down, charging.
Yeah.
I'm not looking back to see if they're with me. I'm just showing them the way to go. They have to make their own way there.
You guys are lucky in the fact that you have an excellent guide amongst you. He's picking out a path. It makes it far easier that you're trudging through this place. And it saves you a lot of time, you notice. And maybe you notice that begrudgingly, maybe you're kind of absent-minded about it. But if there wasn't somebody picking out the path for you, this would take a very long time. It'd be dangerous. You'd probably slip.
Hassan's saying this as he's doing it.
Yeah.
He's saying everything you're saying to them.
I hope you know.
You travel like an hour in this way, and one of the things that you might not notice immediately until you look around is you're quite high off the ground now. You're easily kind of 60 foot up, just with jumping in between kind of rocky outcrops and crags. As you do that, the kind of arm of the other mountain becomes very apparent that you're trudging through kind of a cleft between them. Can I get some kind of stone cutting history roll if you want to give it a go? But you've spent most of your life in a box, so probably not. A history roll.
Damn!
Yeah. But you can give it a go if you like.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
History roll or something trying to determine
Manual.
where you are.
I am consulting the manual on how to
15.
hike. That's currently what I'm consulting the manual on.
It's good enough. As you're trudging through the outcrop between these mountains, it is clear that aspects of it are flatter and wider than they should be. This used to be a road. So there used to be a road that travelled between these two mountains, but it doesn't match the description that you've read. It's too small. But there are flat areas. Perhaps something that is knowledge to you, whether it's concerning or not, is up to you. It obviously fell away at some point, and nobody maintained it. A long time ago. You wouldn't even know how long, but it's not been used.
Does it look like it has collapsed down to here, or it's always been here and the rocks have come down upon it?
It's hard to tell, but it likely was set above where you are and collapsed down. You can only tell that because it seems some parts of it, unless you're actually looking for it and you know what you're looking for, it's kind of hewn rock, right?
Mm.
So it matches the rock that the mountains is made of. So unless you know a thing or two and you know the history of the place, it'd be hard to find out where this was. It would just look like a pile of stones. In fact, some of the party probably think it does look like a pile of stones. They look a little bit weird that you and Elantrix are kind of examining a large flat stone.
Does she yet infer that it is part of the Smithy Highway?
You're pretty sure it's not, but it was a road that went this way. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard to tell, but from what you described, the Smithy Highway is large. This would have been fairly small, but it probably was a pass through the mountain at some point. But you keep trudging and you keep moving on. With that, we're going to take a small break as you trudge through the mountains. Please feel free to do your own trudging while we take probably only 6 of your Earth minutes. We'll say 8, because if we say 8, we'll take 6. So I'll go with that. 8 of your Earth minutes, and we'll be back.
Godblight. the problem.
Back in the,
But
back
at
in the
least
room.
you've had sun and rain in quick succession.
Bought a 210 litre water butt on Saturday. It's full already.
Are you
Full!
tempted- are you tempted to get some mirrors to try and fill that shade?
I have thought of that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
have
not a bad
legit
idea.
thought of that. Yeah, you can see there, very shady,
Gardening.
bit sunny.
This is welcome back to gardening and Dungeons and Dragons. We take our gardens. very
Nigel the
seriously.
bird,
Oh, hey, Nige.
the only bird that's turned up. Nigel. Sorry, Dungeons and Dragons.
If I had it
Put
my
that
way in my garden, I'd just lift all the plants up, replace them with plastic ones, and put turf,
AstroTurf.
AstroTurf down.
Some
You
new
just
Astro.
burn the ground.
Yep. Now,
Explodes
I'd
what
salt it before I put the AstroTurf down as well.
Some new AstroTurf looks quite good. You pay some good money.
I don't care what it looks like. I
Yeah,
just
you
don't
get
want
some
to have to
art.
look after it.
You have to hoover it though.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's fine.
They'll be like, what the fuck's
Imagine
wrong
hoovering
with
your front
you?
garden in your dressing gown.
I'd love that. And I would do it in my dressing gown, just for the added
Yeah.
effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not tied up.
Balls to the wind, baby.
Oh, we're back. And we're back in.
What?
We're back in.
We're live, are we?
We are
Oh,
live.
great.
But that is going to be a soundbite that I'm going to use
Bastards.
multiple times.
Clip it.
Balls
Someone
to the
clip it.
wind.
Somebody clip that. Balls to the wind, baby. Caston, you're heading up the pie. You suddenly realise as you're tracking along, there's probably a choice of two paths. One would take you higher up into the mountains, but looks easier to travel. The only thing that puts you off the idea, or maybe interests you about the idea, is you do see the odd, and this is going on U22, the odd patch of dirt here and there has some kind of taloned impressions in them, which points out that actually this is probably the easiest way to go, but it looks like it's been well travelled by the bird folk. The other way would to go down into the ravine. It's relatively sheer and would be a difficult journey. While you're pretty sure you'd be able to do it,
Yeah, I was going to say, is it difficult for me or difficult for the others?
it'd be difficult for someone, you think, but you'd likely pass without there being anyone else, but it'd be a difficult way to go. And plus it would put you on the lower ground, which could be a negative. But both go the right direction. It's up to you which one you want to choose.
He is going to... He's going to take a coin
Nice.
and he's going to... Heads odd, tails even. That's the other one.
Yeah.
Odd is low ground.
Roll a D2.
He's going to take us to the low ground.
Okay. You start heading down. Have you communicated that you've made this decision to everyone
No,
else?
no.
You
I,
don't.
I love how having major decisions based on the roll of a dice coin.
I think the thing with Caston, his instinct would have been to go low ground, and part of his new conscience that he's getting in this group is directing him high ground, but he wants to leave up to chance. So he's taken the sheer route.
Sheer route. This stops being a walk at this point, and it starts to be a bit of a scramble. At first, you are kind of scrambling down. You start to have to use handholds here and there.
Sure
to
you
kind
know
of get
where you're
yourself
going?
down.
This is the most efficient route.
Soon after that, it
Okay.
does become an outright climb. So you start to climb down the side of a rocky ravine, if you like. I'll ask each of you to make either an athletics or an acrobatics check as you start to climb down. I'll let you use either. You'll just be climbing in different ways.
Oh, that'll do.
19.
19.
No, 19.
Is that acrobatics?
Acrobatics.
21 athletics.
Athletics.
21 athletics.
This is embarrassing with the lowest 13.
13 on...
It's alright, it's perfectly safe, it
It is
was the last we heard of him.
acrobatics.
13.
So
Cool.
nonchalant.
All Landrix's worst rolls come when she's rolling dexterity. 4.
Oh.
Is that athletics or acrobatics?
Does it matter?
Acrobat.
Acrobatics. So those of you that rolled athletics, you are...
It dictates how you die.
You're approaching this like a marathon. You know, you realise this is a climb. It's going to be difficult, so you methodically going through handhold after handhold. Those of you who are doing acrobatics is a little bit more dynamic. You realise that you can do less climbing if you jumped from various foothold to various
In your
footholds.
case, no climbing at
Um,
all.
Elantrix, you're a very deft individual. You're jumping from small outcrop to save schlepping down the side of this mountain. As you do that, something catches your eye. Just in between kind of the valley as it goes onwards, you catch a glimpse at a stone structure. It's a stone arch that seems engraved in some way. It's just between the craggy ravines, so you can only barely get a purchase kind of sight on it. So you kind of crane your neck. As you do so, you go to take a step and realise there's nothing there, there's nothing below you, and you fall. You fall about 20 feet, and then you just manage to hit another rocky outcrop. But you are going to take some damage, I'm afraid.
Ouchies.
Oh, look, it's a.
2d10, I think, for 20 feet.
Yeah. Sorry, mate. You take 14 bludgeoning damage as you hit this rocky outcrop. You probably hear a crunch as you do as well. All of you kind of maybe don't care, but instinctively you'd want to stop
Yeah.
and kind of just
You alright, Donya?
take a look.
Yes, I'm fine.
Don't sound fine.
Do you want a pit on?
Maybe we can rope you.
It's fine. It's on that way.
And it is probably fair to say that because this very quickly turned into a climb, you didn't kind of set up trad climbing or kind of do anything like that, because it isn't like a sheer rock face. It kind of it's a scramble, then it's a bit of a climb, then it's a scramble again, it's a bit of a climb. You kind of it's not.
Well,
not
at least she's
that you
down
can
quicker.
climb down. Yeah, she very quickly made the
True.
drop. You're probably about 10 foot from the base, kind of basin, if you like, at this point, so you can easily climb down.
If you roll over, you can get the rest of the way down.
She's going to cast Cure Wounds on herself.
The rest of you managed to make it, so you scale down
Knock
the
the wind
side.
out of that.
You scale down the side of this cliff face. As you do so, can somebody roll me a perception check, please?
Go on.
Perception.
Go on, roll me on the
Mr.
screen.
Perception.
Yeah.
Boop, it's a -1.
Josh, can I borrow your eraser again?
Got an 8.
Rubber.
I got an 8.
An 8.
Yes.
An 8 for perception. You didn't see much.
No,
Lots
I
of
didn't.
rolls.
I 15'd it.
15.
I am looking for chicken scratches.
Looking for chicken scratches.
Yeah, I've solved the puzzle already.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well done.
What else do I see?
Other than chicken scratches.
I don't see chicken scratches.
No, you
Oh,
don't.
I haven't solved the puzzle.
You see a couple of things down here. There's a lot less vegetation. This is in the shade. So both mountains shade this thing. There is some moss.
Poor
yeah.
drainage.
There's moss.
Moss.
And you get a slightly acrid smell.
Mm.
And as you look further along up to the left-hand side, looking up to Arlek, which is the kind of pointy end of this mountain
Yeah.
that you've just scaled partly down, you get a slightly acrid smell as you see white and grey oozing substance coming down the side.
Full of nitrate.
This
Food.
this
Yeah.
side of the mountain, kind of pooling slightly where you are. If you trace it back up, you see like bundles of what looks like hay or some kind of
Poopies.
some kind of structure up there.
Yeah.
And actually, it baffles you a little bit, but there seems to be some kind of crude wooden structures up there as well.
Yeah.
You're not really sure what they are, but some kind of strange wooden structures.
I do know what they are.
You
The
do know
dwarven houses, yeah. I figured it out.
Gorik's
Dwarven
house.
house.
We're all
Gorik's
looking-
house.
We're looking for dwarves.
Go say hello.
These bird things are dwarves. They're obviously dwarves. They live at the mountain. They're obviously dwarves.
Do you have mirrors where you come from?
What's the mirror?
Do you know what you look like?
Wesley Debenham. That is me.
Right.
How
Have we got
shiny
anything?
is
Have we got, yeah, I was
your
going to say,
shield?
have we got anything really reflective?
Like, is it a
How-
perfect?
how
Oh,
shiny
no,
is your-
Catherine's
matte
got a
white.
mirror.
How shiny is your shield? You got a mirror,
I've got a steel mirror.
right?
There you go.
Nice.
Right,
Not
Yes.
5 pounds in weight.
Excellent.
right. Wesley,
Yes.
take a look at this.
Yes.
Hold up the mirror. Give him your mirror.
Oh, there's a mirror there. I thought you just looked that way.
I did to start. Right. It's a funny joke.
Nice. Not funny.
This is what you look like, buddy.
That's a dwarf. That's a Duragar. You are a Durgar. That's one of them. That's what. If you're looking for Goric, that's the sort of thing you want to be looking for.
That's Wesley.
Wesley is the dwarf.
Yeah.
What's a dwarf? Have anybody seen a dwarf?
You have. You just did.
That's not I'm not a dwarf.
You are. You're pretty dwarfy.
I mean, nobody's seen a dwarf for thousands of years. We're at a mountain looking for dwarves, and we've got these folk around.
We've all, even if, we'd all be aware of them in folklore and stuff like that, even if we didn't think that they still existed,
They
right?
come up in Felix's Damric the Brave Teacher
Yeah.
adventure bit.
Is that-
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of Darl's Charwin before?
No.
Lordy.
It's the concept of evolution.
Mm.
Yeah, not all that's in text is the same now. Yeah.
No.
That's not a real sentence.
No, neither is Darl's Charwin.
You are
Goric.
a dwarf.
No,
Yes.
I am a Wesley.
No, you really are.
Your name is Wesley.
Yes,
Your race
yes.
is dwarf, or at least some offshoot of dwarf.
I've never participated in a race. I've once done a raffle.
Can I just shoot him? Can I?
Just imagine.
But I've never done a race.
Can I?
You're playing D&D, you can shoot him.
As this happens, another slidey white and black substance just slides down the side of the mountain.
Ooh.
It makes a squelchy sound as it.
Are we in this like valley there at the bottom?
Yeah.
So we're basically we're in a bird's twilt.
Effectively. Yeah.
I'm really happy
Should we
about
just
that.
keep going? Can we just keep going?
Yeah, I think
Did
we
you
should
say
go.
that you saw the thing that we're that way?
Yes.
Can we go that way?
She instantly looks quite a bit better the way now she's healed
Good.
herself.
Cracked ribs start knitting themselves back together again.
I might take some of this substance with me.
Mm.
I've heard on the grapevine that farmers very much
You
like
probably
it.
have heard that actually.
It's very-
'cause
yeah, it's
of the
Literally
many-
on
yeah,
the grapevine.
Of the
in
many
fact.
conversations you listen to, a lot of them will be about agriculture.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of people talk about droppings.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're probably very aware that this is.
There's
probably
been
pretty much-
historic wars over this.
Yeah.
Yeah, over these types of things.
Well, I got some brewing you can have.
Have you? Excellent. I'm going to fill this wine.
I
It's going to cost you.
I wouldn't. I shouldn't want you.
One snail shell.
One red.
I'm gonna empty my water skin and try and gather this.
You empty
Or
your
do you
Yeah,
want
yeah,
to
yeah.
empty it into my hand's mouth?
Yeah, if you want it.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go on the floor otherwise. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can have it.
I'll chug it down.
Yeah, in one.
I'll chug it down.
Anybody for a drink?
No,
I'll have a drink. Yeah.
I'll throw it.
It just splashes all over his face.
That is rule one of survival.
Is what?
Drink some water.
There you go.
It's not. I mean, I will have a look at the trail. Me and the man.
And eat some bugs.
Prepare for
I can't believe
hikes.
WikiHow tells you to eat bugs.
Yeah, it does. If you're hungry, bring lots of water. You are right. It is in. Yeah, it is in the manual. Bring lots of water. But you've got water, right? Yeah, I'm gonna gather it. It's valuable. Yeah, I can sell this for sure. I can befriend.
How are
somebody.
you scooping it into the water skin's quite.
Yeah, I'll
Flaccid, right, so how do you-
I'll just see how well it works. How well it flows in.
Yeah, it's quite viscous.
Is it?
Yeah, it's viscous.
Well, I'll just go in.
There's odd like berries and bits of stuff in there.
Yeah, I'm not really.
You know, like a little pouch or box or something.
You sure you don't
No,
want me shooting?
going in. I'm not really that I don't have any reason to be
So
germophobic
you're
or
just scooping it.
hygiene's not
Yeah, it's like
something that's.
it's like a white.
Is it not in
and
your
black
health and
liquid.
safety manual?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a big manual, but I'll read that.
Do not
afterwards.
scoop.
I'll read that.
Do not.
Yeah.
WikiHow
Are you
disease
sure it
control.
doesn't say anything in there about not scooping poop with your bare hands?
Scoop the poop.
Well, it depends if it's valuable or not, doesn't it? This will be valuable. This will help at some
if it was
point. This is going to
anyone
help.
else, I'd make you roll a Constitution check to not throw up. But
I mean-
given that it's Wesley, I think you're immune to such things.
Do you reckon? It probably
so,
smells pretty awful. Yeah,
Yeah,
probably
but I
not.
think
But
You just don't have the worldly knowledge to
Is
know
it,
that this
is it more like seagull or guano?
It's more seagull.
oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Morguana, but I don't know the difference, so I'll have it. Yeah,
He's
I'll
literally
have it, yeah.
that naive that
Yeah.
he doesn't know how to be nauseated.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can scoop this stuff up.
Skill
It does go
him.
all over your hands.
They probably
Yeah.
did pull the hair out of my face once or twice because don't know.
I'm not going to stand anywhere near him for the remainder of this
Yeah,
quest.
It's got an acrid smell.
I'll
It's
bet
not-
it has.
Yeah, it's not quite like a mammal.
No, but
Dead.
once
But
once
some more can
once
enter
it's
its
hung
acid
around
kind of
for a
smell.
couple of days, it's
Yeah, it's not pleasant. It's not pleasant.
I know.
So as he's
Sooner or
looking
later,
out
I'm going to
the,
shoot him. I am.
the pile, you look further ahead and you do notice there is at least one arch, and it's the arch that you craned your neck to see. And you just see it appearing between these two ravines. If you were to climb the rocky outcrop in front of you, you'd be able to see it more. But there's some kind of like carved pillar or structure that goes up, and it seems to join up with a flat kind of structure that goes ahead. And based on the description, just seeing this small bit of it, you're almost certain that's the Smithy Highway. That's what the description looks like.
Okay. That's where we're going.
Are you making any attempt to be silent, or are you trying to avoid?
Oh, I am now.
Trying to avoid being seen.
Oh, yeah. I think
Well, I reckon.
I think that's a ship
Castor
that
would be
sailed
not
on.
trying to be predated.
Yes.
in
That
his
makes
Yes, I think
stealth
being
in this
aware of
bit.
our
I don't think he would have
surroundings.
passed that on, but
Yeah.
he doesn't mind if someone gets picked off by something
Obviously,
large.
you are aware that there is what seems to be some kind of collection of bird creatures above you.
Mhm.
So it's the reason I say it is because it'd be pretty obvious that they will be able to see and hear you down in this ravine.
Yeah,
if
I think
if you're
stealth-
not deliberately trying to stealth.
I think that's a ship that sailed a long time ago.
Yeah.
Cool.
I've made friends with them. It's fine.
Yeah. Elandrix is quite trusting of Caston's survival skills.
Cool.
So she will.
But obviously we are.
You
yes,
are
we
paying
are.
a premium for them.
We are aware of our surroundings. Or at least I am. Don't know about Wes.
I won't make you all
course
roll,
you'll
but
do.
if somebody can make a stealth check
You need
for
to
the
pay
group,
me.
I'll do that.
marvellous.
Crikey. We'll work this out today.
Yeah.
The group stealth check is 21.
21. So
Nice.
how are you telling the rest of the group to be stealthy? How are you instructing people in their stealth?
I'm telling him to shut the hell up.
We're just negotiating the price for Caston. I didn't realise we were paying him for this. So we'll have to negotiate that later. How much I owe you? I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Just telling everybody to be aware of their surroundings, keep an eye out
I'm
for
going to pay the ferryman.
things. We're on unknown territory here.
And with that, you manage to slip fairly unnoticed these ravines. And slip being the optimum word in a lot of respects. Yeah, if you had fine boots on, you definitely don't anymore. There's an element of slippy sliding through this ravine as you
Some galoshes.
as you make your way through it.
A lot of walking in shit in this campaign.
There is, isn't there? Yeah, maybe that's just an adventurer thing. I don't know. You
It's
can't
a
be
Freudian thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Filth. That's what we're going to go to. As you reach the top of this rocky outcrop, there is a huge expanse opens below you. It's almost you go up a rocky outcrop and then it falls away again and becomes relatively flat right into this very large mountain that's in front of you. And above you, there is a stone structure which is flat. It's held up by what looks like archways. They're almost pillar form, but they kind of join at the top to make an archway, and it supports a flat structure, which is a road, but it's a road built above the ground.
It's like a viaduct kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah. Apart from the archways go perpendicular to it rather than in line with it. So in a viaduct, you'd almost have an
Oh, I
archway
see,
that goes
right.
in line with it. But in this case, they're almost set like legs, if you like, and an archway above it. Those with any kind of knowledge of architecture knows that that's quite difficult to pull off and is difficult to do, and it was obviously made to show people that. It's not an easy construction. It probably writes about it in the Book of Grudges, actually. But you have these very heavily carved stone arches that hold up a long, flat path.
And we're below this thing?
You're below it. So actually, the stone arches reach up, and they're a good kind of 60-foot tall stone arch, and it reaches up to the air. They differ in height based on the ground that undulates underneath it. The shortest one is probably 60 foot. They get
So it
much
keeps
taller.
the roadway level.
That's right. Almost completely flat.
Right.
Maybe we should have gone the other way. We should have gone up.
Is there any indication about
This is the way.
any way to get up there?
There's no easy way to get up there. There's not like an off ramp, if you like.
It's not wheelchair accessible.
No, well,
Well,
not from here. If you were on it,
It's going to be a complaint letter to the council when I find these
That's
dwarves.
accessible.
Yeah.
Straight down. What about in the supporting columns? Is there a doorway or anything like that?
there's no doorway, but they are heavily carved, which means they are climbable. But they're heavily carved.
I think we follow it to the end. There's no way I'm going up that.
Okay, looking at it,
I'm only small, 60
going
foot,
off into the
not-
distance, how far does it go?
Stretches a long way into the distance, right up until the kind of third and final mountain that looms above you. From where you see, you're looking from underneath it, right? So it's hard to see exactly where it's going. But he's heading straight up towards that mountain face.
How large are these columns that are supporting this road? Diameter.
Diameter, they're about 60 foot tall. Diameter-wise, they're probably easy 20 foot across. Yeah,
Can't climb that.
you can't wrap your arms around it.
No.
No.
I wanted to go coconut climbing.
Yeah.
Well,
That'd do
I
it.
could.
Yeah. They are, like I say, they are heavily engraved. So in theory, there are handholds, they're footholds.
Yeah,
It'd be
I'm-
easier than climbing.
I'm going to try it.
I could take up,
Yeah, we're going.
go up and drop a rope at some point.
That's what I'm
Did you
thinking.
get your rope? You did. You went back for it. didn't you?
I've got a
Felix
rope.
has
You went back
no
for it.
rope.
Yeah, we didn't leave the room.
You actually didn't bring one, or you left it somewhere?
I left it outside that town on another mountain.
Do you have inspiration?
No.
Have inspiration
Oh.
for recognising that you've left your rope behind.
Yeah, there's no rope. I'm
Nobody ever recognises they've left the rope behind. That is inspiring.
I left it behind a long time ago.
Yeah.
going to try and climb.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try-
It'd be an athletics check, I'd
I-
imagine. You could do acrobatics, but most likely athletics would get you the best result.
I am going to channel divinity. That's what I'm going to do.
Nice.
For once per short rest, I can channel my divinity. And I'm going to channel my divinity into a peerless athlete, which makes me stronger. I've been training.
Wow.
I've been in there. There's a peerless. So for 10 minutes, I've got bonuses for a load of other things, which is advantages on athletics and acrobatics check. I can carry, push, drag, and lift double the amount.
Wow.
And the distance I can long jump or high jump is increased by 10 foot. But I'm not planning to jump up there. I'm not a flea that is now the size of a dwarf that'll climb. My plan is to take my rope,
Yeah.
to wrap the rope around,
Yeah.
kind of hold, and go for the whole, like foot in,
Yeah.
pull the rope
Yeah.
up, climb,
Yeah.
pull the rope up, climb,
Felix is
pull the
gonna
rope up and climb.
Help you, because I've just remembered I have climbing speed.
Oh, do you?
It's a really long way up, but I guess I could just... Yeah, I just...
Yeah.
Cool.
So I'm going to try,
Athletics
yeah.
check.
Oh yeah, of course. Yep. What are we going to get? 16 to start. Advantage gives me a 25.
25.
Wow.
You can easily scale this thing.
Cool.
With what you're doing. At full speed, so you'd just be able to climb
Frickin'
up that
rapid.
thing 30 foot at a time.
Yeah.
So
You
you
didn't
can
even look at the
easily,
manual.
That's what the bureau can do for you, this can.
yeah, be peerless,
Yeah.
peerless athleticism. It's
This
probably quite
advantage
amazing
is
to
your hand
behold.
comes in shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's only 3 words we
if
have.
anything, the bird poo is like acting like a cement.
Oh yeah.
Stopping,
It's like
almost like a
chalked up.
pair of leather gloves.
Oh,
you know,
Giving a grip. It's
They're
dried in a
like
bit now.
chalked up,
Yeah,
it's
chalked up.
chalked up. You're getting a lot of grit.
Nice.
Dissolves the sweat quite well. You found a new use for this stuff, if nothing
Yeah.
else.
It takes Felix
good.
18 seconds to get up.
Seeing that, Caston is going to grab some.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm start chalking up as well.
That's what you've got to remember. I said in the bureau, yes you can. The only 3 words you need. Yes you can.
Yes, you can.
I will, once I'm at the top, I've got 50 feet, so I can drop 50 feet of rope,
It's
and
tough,
I'll
but-
sit there and hold it. Like I said, unless there's anything close that I can tie.
No, when you get to the top, you will notice that it's the road itself is carved, which is ostentatious
Yeah.
beyond beyond reckoning, really. But it does have ornate carving in it. It looks like language, perhaps. There was some kind of dots and hashes, and it's hard to know what it is. It's big, so each individual character is probably 10 foot across, but it is carved. It'd be a bumpy ride if you were in a wagon, put it that way. But it was obviously made to either intimidate or inspire this road.
Cool.
But there's nothing to tie anything off. There's no kind of like vertical column or anything like that.
I'm feeling strong and carry a lot at the moment, but I will just say one at a time.
Well, Felix manages to make it up very quickly, so you're up there as well. And
He's in his canvas coat and he's got his hat on, but obviously in climbing his hat would have fallen off and it would have been on the chin strap,
of course.
on the neck, but he would have made his way up.
You notice that this road arcs around the mountain that you don't know the name of, hence why you couldn't see it before, but it does arc, kind of, rather than go directly through the ravine, it arcs across. You do notice there's a smaller road that comes off this one that goes directly through the two, which was likely the road that you saw before that had been fallen into disrepair. But this one does arc around that other mountain.
We don't see where it goes into the mountain.
You can see that it goes up to the mountain. There's some kind of large stone arch as it kind of reaches this larger mountain in the background that you don't know the name of. So there is some kind of stone arch. It does seem to almost go into it like an aeroplane hangar. It kind of just cuts directly into the face.
There's no like Mario Karts coming or anything.
No, not as far as you can tell. It's pretty quiet up here.
Let's go.
Yeah.
No green turtle shells. Wow,
but yeah, using the rope, using what you already know, you're pretty confident all of you be able to climb up this without needing to make a check. I assume you will ascend.
Yeah.
As you ascend up, you're slightly higher than the encampment of birds now, because you climbed up a rocky face and you've gone up 60 foot, and you're looking down on them. They don't seem to have noticed you, even though you climbed up on this outcrop, which is quite, even though you climbed up on this highway, the Smithy Highway, but you do notice that you get this feeling of exposure, right? This road was made to be ostentatious. It's up in the air. You are exposed to the elements, and you're very much out in the open now. For those of you that like to stick to the shadows, for example, this might be quite a revealing experience. Unless you stand dead in the centre of the road, and even then, anyone who was mountain climbing, which you're pretty sure is just goats and birds, they'd be able to see you pretty plainly at this point.
But it is hard underfoot, which is better.
Very hard, yeah.
It's
very hard underfoot. It's it feels
stable and
despite you get a sense of age from it, it's beautifully crafted and seems like it would last another 1,000 years without changing at all. As you look further at the mountain, you can see it goes into some kind of archway. It'd probably take you a good part of an hour to walk all the way along it. It's long. There does seem to be some kind of stone structures built into the road. You don't know what they are, but they're in the centre. But that's all you can see thus far.
It's weird that there's no one on it. Having a road that no one uses.
Well, it is broken at one end.
It's still strange.
Why do dwarves need to use roads when they can fly? No wonder they don't use it anymore. They've evolved past the need for it.
Have you got a magic spell that can stop people talking?
Yes.
We're friends.
Shall we?
Onwards.
You start travelling along this road. Again, it's a little bit strange that you have these big 10-foot things carved into it. There's characters of Dwarven. Funnily enough, on their own, they don't really mean anything. So Dwarven gets a lot of its meaning from context. So when you have like a rune, it often gets context from the runes around it. Individually, they're often wardings. They're often used as like you could describe it as a primitive form of magic if you were being offensive. It's not that. It's almost like individual. So there'd be individual runes that mean, either wealth or prosperity, fertility, or financial wealth. These kind of things. And they're interdispersed, so they don't seem to have a pattern. Or to somebody who didn't know Dwarven, you think you could stand on the road and read it like a book, but actually you can't. It kind of almost deliberately, the the context doesn't work out. And they're interspaced with individual graphics, normally kind of a stylized dwarven head figure. You can tell the dwarven because of the beard. But almost when a sentence would make sense, it's interspersed by something that breaks the continuity, which is deliberate. But like I say, it doesn't seem to. It's hard to discern if there's any rhyme or reason to it. There obviously is. They built this thing, but it seems to be more like warding or some other kind of non-lyrical way of using language. But you continue on. You get a little bit closer to one of these central structures. There's 3 before you reach the mountain, and it's basically a almost vertical stone structure, but it does taper in ever so slightly and has a flat top. There's an open kind of window box at the top that has no glass or anything, it's just open to the elements, and a open door at the bottom. Without investigating it, you're pretty sure these were watchtowers or some kind of security device, if you like. People would stand in them, you imagine, and be able to see for a very long way down the road somebody was coming. And there's 3 of them, they're all identical. As far as you can tell, it's empty. There's nobody there.
I think what I'm trying to say is this place is a ghost town, which is kind of creepy and weird.
If you got up into one of these, do you think you'd get a better view of what's written on the road, be able to work it out a bit better? Or does it really just not make any sense at all?
Insight, do I think that would help in any way?
You roll for it? Yeah.
16.
16. You're pretty confident from the limited amount you know dwarves from reading the language in the book. It's deliberate that this doesn't make any sense. They're made to be stylized and maybe warding in some way, but doesn't say anything.
It's gibberish.
Why would somebody go to all the effort of carving out the surface of this road for it to not mean anything?
Do you know who else speaks gibberish? The bird people.
Can she make an Arcana roll to see if...
Actually, you've got a point.
I do.
To see if she infers these to be arcane wards in any way,
Yeah,
or
go
if
ahead.
they once were. 25.
25. Wow. I'm gonna have to
Big
give you that.
rolling. We need nerfed. We need a patch update.
You know, obviously, being a worshipper of Fide, you know a fair amount about magic. There's not a lot of history of magic because it's deliberately been destroyed. But from what you know of magic, and you've studied as much of it as you possibly can, wards, symbols, geometric patterns do play their part. You've never heard of dwarven magic. You don't know if dwarves are capable of magic, but it's very likely that this had an arcane meaning, that actually it was some form of warding. Specifically, fertility seems to come up a lot. Protection of fertility, protection of wealth is another thing. And actually all the rest of them are about being strong, and you don't get that for a while. It seems to come around when you see this, these stylized dwarven heads, about strength. For a while you think fertility and wealth and strength, you think this relate to a king, and maybe an individual, and actually you start to realise that the dwarven heads, there are 3 of them, and you reference the fact that it must be the mountains themselves. So actually the warding of fertility, of wealth and protection and strength seems to be some kind of offering to the mountains that surround you. When that clicks, you realise that the 3 runes written in one way say Arlek, and thus is the name of one of the 3 mountains. There are 2 others, when read in different orientations, that say Bandornan and Gordonan. You start to realise, you learn a little bit more about the interconnectedness of Dwarven language and how fiendishly complicated it be, and that seems to be by design.
Okay, and which mountain are we heading toward?
It would look like you're heading towards Gordonin. So specifically, you haven't seen it. You've just seen its name, so you haven't seen it written alongside anything. So it's hard to determine anything about the meaning of that word because you'd get all of its meaning from what's written around it. But because you've made the link between the three separate faces and the three mountains, perhaps worthwhile mentioning when Arlek is mentioned, the dwarven carving has a beard. When Bandurnan is mentioned, it's a face of what you believe to be a female with braided hair over both shoulders, in different styles, but mainly there's that. When Gordonin is mentioned, they seem to be bald with no beard. It's very hard to determine whether they're male or female.
While the Landrix is working all this out, Felix is just scratching his name in common into the stone at the end of his
Felix
sword.
was here.
Yeah. Felix. Doing a little bit of carving myself.
It's hard. It's really hard to carve the stone. It's very, very...
Well, he's got +4 strength, so...
you're giving it your best guess.
Yeah.
Scratch it.
When was the last time you took a whetstone to the sword?
It's been a little while.
Yeah.
It's been a little while.
It probably needs it.
Yeah.
Especially as you start etching stone with it, you realise it's blunter than you would
But
like.
the sheer weight of it still makes it a colossal
Yeah, it's a
weapon.
hefty
Yeah.
thing.
It breaks more than it cuts.
Yeah. Well done. Good roll. So you continue north, I imagine, or a direction. It
Follow
wouldn't
the
actually be north, but
curve of the road.
follow the curve of the road. You keep going towards this mountain that you believe to be Gordonin. You travel further and further. You pass each one of these towers. You're not going in them. You're kind of just leaving them as they are, I guess, as you go past.
Got to have a look at one of them.
Yeah, yeah. Gonna
Just
have a
kinda-
look. Gonna have a look in.
Yeah. We'll deal with it relatively quickly. What you notice is that they're all, well, if you go in more than one, they're all the same. There is, as you walk in through the entry hatch, if you like, there's a stone staircase that sweeps from the left up to the right. When I say sweeps, it's geometrically set up. It doesn't sweep as in a curvature. It's almost set up in... the steps are in almost sections and straight sections, and very much part of the architecture. Most things are straight lines where possible. It goes up to a top flight, which is obviously where people can look out of, and there is a stone chest in all of them. All of them are open and they're empty, but it would seem like that's where whoever was on watch would keep their belongings, or perhaps close it and use it as a table, but it seems to be, and it's built by the same stone, it's built into the ground, and the hinges still work. You can open and shut these things, but there doesn't seem to be anything stored in them.
Just out of interest, I'm going to take something out of my bag.
Yeah.
Just what have I got? Just something. Just my crowbar. I'm going to take my crowbar and I'm going to put it into one of the boxes, close the lid, and then open it again.
Still there.
Right.
Good idea.
Take my crowbar,
but it's still there.
crowbar back.
Seems to be a box.
It's amazing that it's still there.
I know.
You keep travelling along the road. It's probably kind of mid-afternoon by this point. You've been travelling for a long time. You've been travelling almost a full day on foot, so you're probably a little bit tired, a little bit covered with bird poo, but you're getting to kind of mid-morning day. As you get closer, you notice this gigantic stone arch. Written across the top of it is something in Dwarven. It's written, the arch kind of goes up at a 45-degree angle, it's flat on the top, and it goes down at a 45-degree angle, and it's probably 30 feet across. It's a huge thing. It's 30 feet up at this apex.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Where? It's full of dinosaurs. But it does, written on it, It's a strange dwarven sentence that says the belly of Gordonin. And then there's another section that means, in the common tongue, says Anvil City. But actually it doesn't really mean that in Dwarvish. It says, let's see if I can actually find it. I probably can't find it.
There's a line scored into the wall about 3 foot up, and there's written next to it is, "You must be this short to come in here."
We're going to arrow it down.
I hope that's there.
Felix can ride.
So in Dwarven it actually
Inch
says...
over. Crouching. Take
yes.
the shoes off.
In Dwarven it says Borandor Kin Cardan, which kind of means Anvil Kingdom or Anvil City, or it's common tongue doesn't have a direct translation, but it basically means a large place that is like an anvil.
Entrance fee 1 anvil.
Anvil shaped hole.
Yeah. Insert anvil.
Wesley, you wouldn't
Open door.
just pop back and get the anvil, would you?
Where was the apple?
It's in the side of a hill.
So this is just an open archway. There's no great big
It goes
door.
in. It's almost like the archway almost makes almost like an aeroplane hangar expanse that's been carved directly into the mountain, and it fits almost exactly. And it goes further and further and further back into the mountain by about 30 feet.
Dwarf stuff is always massive, like they're trying to make up for something. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Yeah. Funny that.
You always you look at all these entrances and you think they must be really big.
Yeah, yeah.
No, they dig it down a lot.
That's exactly right. So as you go in, there's this feeling of grandeur,
Bigness.
kind of going into this expanse, if you like, and you just carve into the mountain like an aeroplane hangar. It's beautifully straight the whole way down. At the back end, it's kind of perhaps surprising that it looks at first like a flat rock right at the end. You're almost certain there is a door there because there's a slight outline of a door that matches the archway, and there's actually a far smaller door that matches the outline on the left-hand side, almost as if there's a single-person entrance and then almost a much larger entrance for when.
And a sign saying tradesman round the back. Okay, so is there any torches or anything like that, or is it just a big dark tunnel?
Down the left and right hand sides there are 3 sconces, stone sconces that are built to the wall, none of which are lit. So it's dark in here. It's not dim. It's dim is the best way to describe it. It's not pitch black.
This is the place.
Mm-hmm. What do we want to do? Going to knock?
I think we try and open the door, maybe. See if it's locked.
The little door.
Go up to the little door.
You might go into an egg chamber.
You head up to this smaller door on the left hand side.
Is there any sign of, it's going to sound crazy, but is there any sign of a bell pull or knocker or...
It's funny you should say that.
It's called a clapper, isn't it?
Clapper.
Clapper.
Clapper. It's funny you should say that. It's so you can see the vague outline of the door. It's the only reason you know that it's there. It's a vague outline of it, but other than that, it looks like somebody's literally just chiselled the outline of the door into the sheer rock face. There are a couple of things on this door. One, there is a cross-shaped hole in the centre of it. The other thing is there is a larger, probably about a foot across hole on the right hand side, and in it seems to be a heavily weathered brass lever. You can tell it's brass because it's rusted.
No, it hasn't.
Patinaed.
It's patinaed.
It's patinaed. Like there's a patinaed brass handle on the right hand side. That's kind of within it. It looks like a lever almost.
It's got patches of dull brown and edges of blue. And you know this to be brass.
Mm-hmm. I'll pull the handle.
Pull the little lever.
Yeah. Pull it, push it, whatever it takes to
Bop
move it.
Twist it.
Twist it. Turn it.
You pull the lever, and
I will step to the side before I pull the lever, so that the hole in the door is not pointing directly at my chest. I will step to the side and pull the lever.
seems fair.
I ain't daft.
You hear a muffled sound, almost like the ringing of a gong. Yeah, almost like the ringing of a gong. The lever does work, it actuates. It works quite fluidly, actually, to say that this thing must be pretty old. But you do hear the ringing of kind of a gong noise. Not much happens for a little while. But then you hear a voice. And it seems to be coming from this little hole in the centre of the door. But you do hear a voice. And only one of you speaks Dwarven, I believe.
Two of us, I think.
I do speak Dwarven. I
Ah.
speak it, I don't read it.
Speak if you don't read
Yeah.
it, that's fine. So you hear a voice, and that voice sounds a little bit like Gorak Doranada, which those of you who speak Dwarven, you know to be, who goes there?
No, thank you. We've got one.
After you.
No, please.
Your
No,
chance to make a friend.
And I have to go back to the manual now.
You're more,
See what the manual says.
you're more dwarf than I.
I'm a Wesley, I'm not a dwarf.
You have to wear the right footwear.
Yeah, the right shoes. Wesley Debenham goes there.
I'm trying to think what Wesley Debenham would sound like in Dwarvish. Wesley Debenham, Borak Dora.
Yeah, essentially.
There's a pause. What business do you have in Anvil City?
I don't know, to be honest. Is Gorick in?
What's a Gorik?
Wow. Gorick. You don't know Gorick? No, he's a Duergar. That's all I know.
Sounds like there's some awfully strange folk out there.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know what's strange here. Everything's pretty strange, to be honest. Are you actually a dwarf?
I am a dwarf.
Have you got a beak?
What are you talking about, a beak?
How many times?
We don't understand any of this.
Oh, no, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my recollection, nobody here has ever seen a dwarf. They've been extinct for a long time, right? Nobody has an idea.
Pictures. Pictures.
I've seen them
Lots
in
of
books.
pictures.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll remind Wesley of the headlock.
Giving me a
quickly.
beak. I best come out there and give you a piece of my mind.
Did you lose it?
Lose it?
The beak?
If I could fit my axe through this hole, you'd be a dead man.
Why's he trying to kill me?
You're insulting him.
How am I
Where'd you
insulting
want
him? Your feathers are awesome. Gone back to the book.
Is anyone else out there who's not simple?
My apologies, my friend is
Simple.
not from around here.
Have you got
Nobody's from around here apart from us.
Yes.
What are you then?
I'm an elf.
That calls you both.
I'm thinking,
And what brings you this far out?
digging for worms.
We've come.
Come to apologise, eh? Have you? Is that it?
Yes.
Oh. Well, I suppose that changes things. And the other one, is he an elf?
No, he's. He's a Duergar.
Who else have you got with you?
We have a halfling,
Oh, good.
a crossbreed, a dog,
Ah, I see.
and
half elf?
half elf.
I think he's got that wrong. He told me he was a liberator.
A liberator.
Yes.
Ah, that
Oh.
sounds interesting.
Don't know
What are you
what a halfling
saying? What are
is.
you telling? What are you telling this door?
Certainly you're a liberator.
No. I.
And you're here to apologise. What are you apologising for? I've stood guard of this door for hundreds of years. Nobody's once come saying they're coming to apologise.
We've come to apologise for the grudges.
Which one?
Oh, it's in the way.
Oh, you come to apologise on behalf of Arle?
Yes.
Well, I never. Elves think they own the bloody mountains now, do they?
We have us envoys.
Well, it's been a bloody long time since somebody pulled that handle. It's having a mid-morning snooze and all of a sudden the gong goes off. Good job I had my earpiece in. Well, let me just check what I'm supposed to do next, but I suppose I'll be letting you in.
Thank you.
Things get quiet for a fairly long time, about 10 minutes pass. Maybe 15 minutes pass.
What's he doing? What's going on?
Yeah, you guys have just heard this collection of dwarven sounds that sounded aggressive to begin with and got less aggressive over time.
But they still sound very aggressive.
Yeah, they sound relatively aggressive. Yeah.
What's going on?
Like a pleasant Klingon.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're waiting. Hopefully he'll come back.
Goodbye. Everything looks around about my size.
You lot still there?
Yes.
You haven't changed your mind?
No.
You can change your mind.
No.
Well, I'm under strict orders by the Gilded Assembly to allow you passage.
Thank you.
You hear a key turning in a lock, and it sounds pretty. It's like a simple lock, which again, if you were into this kind of thing, would be quite impressive. It's a big stone door. The fact it has a relatively simple mechanism is a little bit hard to understand. The door opens outwards, and as it opens outwards, it literally comes out towards you, as if a large stone is being moved. When it reaches the end of its travel, it just turns on a hinge, actually quite lightly. It comes out towards and actually covers the lever that you pulled. And you get this sudden out thrust of air, almost as if there's pressure within the mountain that pushes outwards. It literally blows you through, your clothes blowing away. It takes your eyes a little bit to adjust because it's quite dark inside. You get a smell of almost wood smoke, heat that comes outwards. And in front of you is a squat individual covered from head to toe in some kind of metal plates, but it's hard to see. He's wearing a helmet, but protruding from below this helmet is a beard. The beard is black but heavily peppered with grey. It goes right the way down and right the way down to the individual's ankles, where it's clasped in large metal clasps at his ankles and braided in two big braids that go all the way down to his ankles. Across his back is both a very large axe, mostly his size, and an incredibly large shield, also similar to his size. So you can't really make out his facial expression, it's mostly beard and metal. And this individual looks mostly up at you, Elantrix, more than anything else, and yourself, Theas. But he's a similar height, probably a little taller than Felix. You're 3 foot tall. So he's taller than you. He's kind of 4.5 foot tall, perhaps.
Okay.
Very broad and very strong. Well, aren't you a funny-looking group of people?
I love your shoes.
Well, thank you very much.
Where did you get them?
We made them ourselves. We make everything here.
I have to go back and consult the manual.
If you're after some yourself, you'd be looking for the Guild Assembly, not the Gilded Assembly, mind. Outsiders get that mixed up.
Okay, I'm going to walk over and introduce myself with a handshake.
He grabs your hand,
Yes.
and you get a bolt of pain as he grasps your hand very tightly and shakes it very fervently. Haven't had a good handshake in many years. Welcome in.
I'll give him
You
a
look a bit
squeeze.
peaky, if you don't mind me saying, a bit poorly.
And your hand's covered in shit.
I've walked a long way, yes.
What bloody hell are you wearing?
Oh, it's a standard issue.
Standard issue what? Standard issue for Pillix.
Excuse me?
Pillix, you know, like idiots.
What?
You look like an idiot.
What do you mean I look like an idiot?
Look at you. What you got around your neck?
This is the tie. This is a sign of authority.
What's it do?
It shows other people that you have more authority over them.
Why would you have buttons on your shirt if you're just going to hide them with a tie?
It's standard issue. This is standard issue equipment.
What's that on your head?
Hard hat.
What do you need a hard hat for?
Protect your head. From
my
hard
head's
things.
very well protected, thank you very much. Doesn't have to be yellow.
What stands out? Health and safety.
You do stand out.
I do. Thank you.
I like you.
I made. Are we speaking Dwarvish?
We are. Yeah.
Oh right. I'll
I think Castor knows what's going on.
Yeah. I'll go made a friend.
What the bloody hell are you then?
Hello.
It's because he looks directly at you,
Yeah.
just waggles a finger, and all you hear is crocodile and a dada for a.
There's not like a whole. But he's wearing a canvas coat, which goes all the way down to his paws, and he's wearing a big hat. So he's kind of not too obvious as to what he is in general.
He will
yeah.
tickle your little beard.
Yeah.
fondle the greasy beard a little bit. Not much growth there, is there? You must be a young'un.
There you go.
Oh, my back! I've been out in the sun for such a long time. Gosh, you look ill. What's wrong with your face?
Sorry, what?
He says hello.
He needs
Oh,
to
he
eat
says hello.
something. You're very
Hello.
thin. Not much left of you.
This is just the way I am.
He starts speaking a little bit common. All he hears: thin, poorly, meat, beard.
Thanaeus.
Translate. You look like you know things.
Yeah, that's a very good description, my friends.
What did
Thin,
he say?
poorly meat beard.
Yeah, Hotmail.com.
This is just how I look. Do you... Thanaeus.
Honestly, lives outside on the sun all the time. He's pale as he is.
Yes.
What's this? Some kind of hospital troop you got walking around with you?
These are my guard.
You guard! He's a guard, is he? Whoa, shaking in my boots I am. Won't be able to sleep at night for the fear of the thin man coming up to my bedside. You best get in and get something to eat before you drop dead.
Thank you.
There's a lot of people you got here. I've been guarding this door 100 years. Never once seen anybody like you come in.
Have you seen anybody come in?
Well, not a great deal of people, no. Not recently. Now you say it.
How many people are in here?
Well, there's me. There's the Guild Assembly, the Gilded Assembly, and then the Enclave.
What about
And
the
there's also the civilian community as well, but we don't really talk about them. You're not really going anywhere.
What about these dwarves? And I'll point out to the wooden shacks that we passed
Yo,
in the mountains.
bloody birds.
They're
Come over
birds.
here, ringing my handle. Getting up, sitting down. You notice now, as he's talking to you, he's got a big brass trumpet on one side, and he's shouting quite a lot. You're pretty certain he might be hard of hearing.
Yeah.
There is, as you peep inside, there's a single stone chair carved into the walls. It's like a stone plinth, and a huge gong on one wall. And that's all there is in this room. And other than that, it's a fairly narrow set of stone steps, and that go directly downwards.
It's only deaf in one ear.
Bloody birds coming here, ringing my handle, seashells and all that kind of shite.
Do you know most people in Asher don't believe in the dwarves?
Why wouldn't you believe in the dwarves? Strong under the man we are, just biding our time. You better watch yourself. Might roll over those mountains any day now. Send you all scattering to the hills of your mums or whatever you think about at night.
I'm sorry?
I'm not afraid of you. Coming here, lording yourself over me, some great gangly woman.
Oh. I see.
Oh, thin meat beard.
Well,
You best eat some meat as well. Nothing on you.
listen, we're here.
Like the shield, though. Quite nice craftsmanship for that. And the mace is alright.
Thank you.
It'd be better if you bought it here, but... Probably make it better while you're here, actually. Show you a thing or two, you know?
You forge.
Do I forge? Do I forge? My poor dying grandmother, do I forge? A little bit. Well, I'm on guard duty now, obviously. That's what the Gilded Assembly said I should do, and that's what I do. Take it very seriously.
Well, listen, we've come to apologise,
Good.
and then we have a few questions.
Always questions with you lot in there.
Yes.
Well, I just guard. Ask questions of me if you so wish. My knowledge is vast. But I am but a humble servant of the Gilded Assembly.
You say nobody has come this way for 100 years.
More or less.
Would that include a wood elf?
Wood elf?
Have you seen a wood elf?
I can barely tell you apart from your friend here.
Have you seen any other elf?
No elves passed through here for 100 years. Why would I have seen a wood elf? What do you know that I don't? Somebody sneaking about here.
We're following somebody, looking for somebody.
Well, you're looking in the wrong place if you're looking for a wood elf. Not much trees around here, is there?
No.
Thought they were supposed to be clever. It says that to you. He knows you don't understand.
Felix
Alright,
just licks his lips.
Your dog's weird.
Yes. He is rather.
I like him. More of them. You can come in. Well, you can all come in. I'm not allowed to stop you now.
Hopefully
Gilded
we are
Assembly,
all
yeah.
in, hopefully.
Oh, you all heading in? He's just kind of insulting you on the doorstep. This
Yeah.
will continue. You get the feeling that he would quite happily just rant at you indefinitely.
Doesn't meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
Cass has been like trying to sneak in
Yeah.
without him knowing, but he probably knows.
You can probably sneak in if you want.
He's sneaking in.
Give it a go. Give it a stealth roll.
While all this is happening.
Yeah.
16.
16. Yeah, he's very distracted and partially deaf. Maybe even partially blind. It's hard to tell. So you can very easily sneak past him if you so wish.
Does
He's
he
kind of
need-
leaning up against the stone door of this place, kind of one arm on it. Do you know, like the kind of stance somebody has when they're drunk too much and the lavvy, and they,
Oh,
they
yeah.
have to have the wall for support. That's kind of what you're looking at the moment.
When you're in a urinal, that's just the person next to you.
Yeah, exactly. Oh dear. But yeah, you can sneak past him. There's a narrow set of stone steps that go straight down, which I imagine you're heading down first. So what about it? You coming in? You're just gonna stand on my doorstep all day.
Yes, please. Yes, we're coming.
Strange that you come all the way here and only two of you speak the real language.
Is it?
What do you speak at home, Elvish?
Yes.
Well, why does everyone speak common? Why do people call it common when everyone speaks Elvish?
Good question.
I figured you'd know that. You look clever.
Do you speak Elvish?
A little bit. I want to speak to you.
Okay. That's fine.
Try and keep a conversation going with someone. You're pulling hairs, isn't it? Teach the dog how to talk. Does the dog talk? Look at his little beard.
He understands Elvish.
He understands Elvish, does he? Ah, he taught him wrong. Shame. Look at them arms. He'd make good round the forge, wouldn't he? Hair might singe a little bit, but I'm sure we can make do with him.
Of course you
Is he for sale?
It depends what for.
Well, come on down, we'll have a look. He turns around, he's babbling to himself. As he's going on. Somebody shut the door when you come through. And he just starts wandering down the stairs. You notice as he's going down the stairs, it takes him some effort. Obviously his joints are obviously not as good as they used to be, and he's kind of going these stone steps. They're very narrow and it's hewn directly into the stone. It's quite oppressive for those of you that are higher than 5 foot tall, perfectly fine for Felix and Caston, and probably yourself as well, Wesley. For you guys, you are stooping fairly significantly. This is perfect dwarven height, and not really too much footage either end. But when you come to the base, I'm going to let you go first, Caston, but I'll describe it. You come to the base of these steps, and initially what you're greeted with is an incredibly grand set of stairs that obviously come down from this big stone door. So at certain points in time, it was likely that stone door was removed, and you went right down a set of stairs into a very wide open chamber. It's probably 100 foot across. There are stone sconces all the way around the room. There could be 30 of them all the way around the room. Only about 5 of them are lit, which makes this room quite dark. There are big, long drinking tables. You can tell they're drinking tables because they have horns that are kind of in wells on the table. And each of them probably has 30 seats around them. They're kind of as if this was a large hall entrance chamber where people would come and drink. There are about 6 dwarves in this room. Other than that, it's largely empty. There are big stone arches, kind of 30 a foot, that 2 of which that are in the base of this room and 2 of which go out to either side. But that is everything in this room. Caston, you are the first to enter. Nobody knows you there. None of the other dwarves seem to notice your presence. Is there anything in particular you want to do?
Don't check a horn.
You can check a horn. Some of them are most of them are empty, but you do eventually fill one that's filled to the brim with some kind of rich malty beer.
We will probably take a little swig.
Yeah, it's beautiful actually. It's strong and very malty. Yeah, kind of fortified ale is kind of the best way to describe it. Yeah. The rest of you guys come in. You see this vista ahead of you. Caston's helping himself to a drink.
How did you do that?
And this person who's guided you down raises arms above himself and says, "Welcome, lady and gentlemen, to the Guild Hall."
How big is this place?
It's like 100 foot across.
Well, I thought it was going to be very unimpressive to start with. I was just like this little room.
It is slightly unimpressive in the fact that there's probably got 6 dwarves in it.
Yeah.
And there of the 30 sconces that are around the room, only about 3 or 4 of them are lit. 5 of them are lit. That's what it is.
I may find it impressive. It's a big space for 6 dwarves. It's a good space.
And as you enter Anvil City, that is where we will end our session for this evening. So thank you very much for everyone who joined us. Thank you for playing along with us. And thank you to my players who made this night enjoyable. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's great role-playing DMing going on there.
Oh, thank
Really
you.
good. Hilarious.
Thank you very much.
We'll run on awards.
Our DM awards.
Yeah, at the end of the year.
Probably
It's only for this table though, so yeah, there won't be much
I'd
competition.
like to thank my mother. But thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Until next time, we have been...